Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers.
Yeah. Check it out.
Okay, cool.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your good friend Rafa Sparzo. We have a hell of a show for you guys today, and here's the thing. I'm so excited for this show that I'm even sending out last week's show to Dan Martinez, our guest, first coming up right now. But before I get to showing you him, I want to introduce why he's on the show. Not only did he win Combat Jiu Jitsu Worlds, which I was not at, unfortunately, but you know, if you watch our show regularly, that we normally send an invitation to the people who do win those sorts of things to come on our show, say what's up, talk about their win. But before we bring him on, I just sent him the link on over right now so he can share it on his channel. So if he wants to check his Facebook Messenger, he should have that over on his side. But I want to preview what else we've got for you on this loaded episode of Grappling Hour today. So, first we start off with Dan Martinez, who will be joining us in just a minute. But then we're going to see an interview that I did with Leandro Gomes, who's out of King's MMA and MMA fighter, who shows us a nasty Kneebar setup, as well as a great interview with him. Then we've got Tommy Langaker on a little bit later. We had to schedule him on Viking time, so I had to figure out that plus-minus sort of scenario. And then a little bit later on today, you will hear from RYAN MCGUIRE, who will tell us all things Third Coast Grappling, but also Bo Nichols and Gordon. Here's what I have to ask him a little bit later. Today he said it's a super fight or a super match, unlike the type of thing we've seen between Conor and Floyd Mayweather, and I'm going to have to give him some shit about writing that sentence, because that's ridiculous, even for a promoter. But anyway, I don't want to keep you guys waiting for too long, because the gentleman here has been waiting long enough, almost a week and a half, one might say, for a exit interview that we normally do on the show. I'm very excited because I interviewed him at Ultimate Mat Warriors, and it was a long time coming, but then this motherfucker goes out and wins the whole Combat Jiu Jitsu scene, and I feel it's time we give major props to one, Dan Martinez. Dan, how are you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. Glad to be here with you again.
Well, first off, thank you for making the time. I know that it is hard to sometimes look at your messenger when you win Combat Jiu Jitsu and schedule a time. For those who don't know, Dan does live a little bit in the bubble where he was just like, oh, I've won Combat Jiu Jitsu. It's so hard, man. Thanksgiving. Oh, it's so difficult. But I was like, well, I you know, you've earned some time off, but I'm like, I want to interview you, kid. So it's not for lack of trying, but I'm glad that we were able to make it work, dude. How did it feel to win, man? Like, let's start off right there. How did it feel to win that tournament?
It felt great, man. It felt great. 185 sub only, I feel like, is my best format. It's my natural weight class and what I like competing at the most, like in San Diego. And the combat aspect, the open palm strikes, it was just a new challenge for the tournament, and I had done it before, and I didn't really affect my game too much, so I felt great being able to apply what I always do and get one of those big titles home for sure. I feel like it's definitely my time to do so.
I want to ask, how did it feel to take that through customs? Because most people just have to go internationally, but when you're coming back from Mexico, of all places, when they're looking at this belt, they're just kind of like, Senor?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it was funny because Eddie gave me a big like bag suitcase to bring it in, so I'm kind of getting on with a carry-on and a backpack and I have these dogs sniffing you. For some reason, the dog kept sniffing around the bag that I was holding. I was like, listen, you guys could search it if you want. They pull out the belt, and it's like, oh, where are you coming from? Tournament. You had to explain it a little bit. Had to speak some Spanish to get them off my back.
and I hear that you have very, very solid Spanish. So, I don't know that that's Would you mind repeating that? I'm not sure we caught that on the feed.
Yeah, no, it's first language, so I had to brush up on it a little bit in the weekend out there.
I'm pretty sure you can get by. Most people's, like my traveler Spanish is not enough to get by. It's enough to be like food and point me in the direction of food.
Well, ironically, every menu I read was in Spanish, and my reading in Spanish isn't necessarily too good. I was like, oh, man, just want tacos. Tacos or burritos, plain and simple.
Well, I'm gonna get to that in a second, though. I will say, though, if those dogs were sniffing that belt, did at any point you go through a moment where you go, did Eddie smoke so much weed it's become contagious on this belt?
I seriously am not going to lie to you. I thought it might have got like a contact high or like a contact smell, the bag. And I remember smelling it like afterwards, like when they were taking out the belt and kind of going through it afterward, they handed it back. I was like, I don't smell anything. It couldn't have been it, but I was like, damn, Eddie. Oh, man.
I mean, props to him. It's just everybody knows who Eddie Bravo is. The rest of us, whenever you're smoking weed, they're just kind of like, who are you? And we're not letting you back into America. I don't even smoke weed, but I was like, dude, I go to enough of these tournaments where half the time the guys, they're like, Raf, are you 10P for L? And I'm like, oh, I'm not 10th Planet. I'm friends with you guys. And they're like, no. But are you 10P for L? And I was like, oh, you're asking if I'm high. I just have a contact high, dorks. No, I'm good. Anyway.
When we were looking for the Ultimate Mat Warriors in San Diego, we pulled up and smelled it. We're like, yeah, we're here. We're at the right place. This is it.
It's a pretty distinguishing smell between the different places. I want to ask this. When did you get out there? So when did that tournament begin for you?
Well, the tournament began the day Eddie invited me, mentally and strategically as far as what positions I would focus on and what things I knew were very likely to happen in the matches. But as far as like getting out there, I believe all of us got out there on Thursday. I know I did. We got out there Thursday pretty early, and the tournament was Saturday at 10 p.m. So even though the elevation wasn't necessarily a factor, I definitely wanted to get out there and get a good shakeout, break a sweat on Friday, and be out there for a while and not experience any jet lag or anything like that.
Now, let me ask this, because I believed when I went to go watch one of the interviews that we did back, is your winning prize for Combat Jiu Jitsu, for Ultimate Mat Warriors, was that you were going to compete at the finishers. So when you got this opportunity, is that what replaced it?
Yeah. Actually, okay. Good thing you brought that up. Yeah, so I was supposed to compete at the finishers.
1 second, everybody. He just fell off for a second. Go ahead, repeat your answer. You're good.
As I was saying, I was set to compete at the finishers the week prior, but I had already competed there. I won it a couple years ago, so I really wanted to just kind of focus on the combat. And the weekend, I've competed back-to-back weekends. I've competed twice in one weekend, but I really wanted to make sure I was training that weekend, and not traveling all over again and so on.
Well, because I commentated that event, so imagine my surprise when the host is sitting there and going, oh, look, don't forget, Dan Martinez is... No, it would make sense that he would go do combat, but for a split second, I was almost going to, blurt out your name and be like, why isn't he... Oh, right. Oh, shut up, Raph. Don't say that. So I immediately had a moment where I go, no, that makes sense. So your week starts pretty early. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I ended up watching the tournament anyways afterwards. Anytime it's 185, I'm very interested. So it would have been fun to be a part of it. So hopefully Zach and those guys do it again.
I'm pretty sure they'll bring it back. So you were watching live?
Oh yeah. Well, not live. I caught the stream afterwards, but definitely watched it, and some good matches. I was watching the what ifs.
That's pretty funny. I like the idea that you're micro focused on this whole thing and you're just honed in on your combat, but you're like, but somewhere else grappling is happening. I must watch and take notes.
Grappling that I was supposed to be in, so I'm kind of watching. I'm like, I would have got out of that. You want me to come in?
I'm sure I'll go talk with some of those gentlemen and be like, Dan Martinez sends his best regards, everybody. So If that is the case, though, you get out there, your week starts pretty early with the combat style, and you said the elevation wasn't that bad there, because I know for Mexico City participants, it's a little bit more intense, but I was wondering that for you guys.
Yeah, I did. I live in Florida, and the elevation here in Tampa was like 25 above sea level. Over there it was I think just under 1,500. I looked it up, so I was doing my research. I've never been in higher elevation, but I guess it really affects you physically right around 3,000 or 4,000. So I was good. But either way, that's why I wanted to get out there early. And I ran a couple miles in the hotel room on Friday before finding a local gym to sweat at. So once I did what I did here and I felt the same, it's like, all right, perfect. Recovery's on point.
I was curious as well, is that you mentioned, burritos and tacos and food, and I mean, you're a pretty fit guy, but I always wonder, like, how do you keep the weight under control when a food situation is as it's going to be in a foreign place?
It was definitely difficult. I was really good on weight. I got out there maybe 3 pounds over. I really only walk around, a little over 190 because I don't like to cut a lot of weight, and I certainly refuse to do it water the day of, So I made sure I ate the tacos and the burritos early in the day, protein and carbs, and burned that off towards the nighttime. All the treats and all the fun stuff had to come after.
Of course, and we'll get to that. So I want you to walk me through your day, because one of the things that I was looking at here, and I had to brush up on it, because you and Kyle had very different paths to that final. So I wanted you to kind of recount as much as you could and kind of describe what it was, how your day went, because your day went pretty fast, all things considered, getting there.
Yeah, it was pretty quickly. The first round match was against Hiram, one of the local guys, and that was about, I think, the official time was like 28 seconds. I sat to guard, and I had a different approach for everybody. I knew kind of who I figured I would be facing. While I'm warming up, I'm still watching the matches that I feel like I'm going to face, my side of the bracket, for example. On the other side, there's 7 other guys I will not face at all, Mm-hmm. So I'm watching, and with him, I kind of didn't know much about him, and I opted to play my guard game, and the leg lock I found it pretty quickly. But the second match with Javier Torres and the third one with Jesse Taylor, I had already watched them compete, and they were big on the strikes and top game. They both really like to wrestle, so in the second match, I kind of played the coin toss game and went to my favor. I ended up on top, and that was perfect. I was able to pass the butterfly and get to the back and finish without taking a single strike. So that couldn't have worked out any better. I knew with somebody like that, I had to be on top. He rained down some heavy strikes. I was like, that match, I am not going to pull guard and play legs. I am going to get on top and pass for sure, And then with Jesse Taylor, it would seemingly be the same, but he has a really strong wrestling background. So I figured, okay, sit, attack the legs. I don't feel like he will be as well versed as me, coming from a different, from more MMA based. And if I can't get the leg, I'll sweep and do that over and over and over until it works. But it worked in about 20 seconds.
So that one in particular, if memory serves me right, there was almost like a halt when you did catch that leg. There was almost kind of like a stalling, not a stall, but like a moment where everybody, you were just kind of looking at him like, I'm good here, dude. Like, what happens next is bad. And I think people were like, did he tap? Like, what happened? I was like, I'm pretty sure he tapped. I think we're all good here. I think we all know what happened. Because again, I was watching it live. I did like a little let's watch as it was going on live, and I had a moment where I just like looked down and I looked up and I was like, oh, and there it is. Well, all right. Yeah. Well, we move on to the next match then. So I'm curious though, because you and Kyle, I remember telling you this at Ultimate Mat Warriors, and I said this is easily a match that could have been top of a card anywhere else, and lo and behold, it was. And I'm gonna give myself some more shine as well. The week before, we did a little preview episode, and it was funny. Your name hadn't gotten brought up yet, and I was like, I think we cannot sleep on Dan Martinez. I was like, I think you need to put him in that conversation. And I was like, and at the same point, I was like, well, Kyle Chambers is there. I was like, so the two of them. And I had put you guys there in that scenario. So I wasn't surprised when I saw what I saw. And I love the fact that I have tape to back it up. Because I was like, yeah, I'm going to put the final to you guys right now. and you guys did the hard work. So tell me a little bit about this, because you guys had a regular jiu-jitsu match, kind of under more EBI style rules at Ultimate Warriors. What changed with the aspect of adding in the combat for this particular match?
Man, honestly, nothing, because I actually used no strikes in any of my 3 matches leading to the final. And I was a firm believer, if you're hitting me, you're not submitting me, you can't control me and really land a lot of strikes. So it's really one or the other, Positionally, you have to be controlling it in order to get off a lot of strikes. But so I didn't play any, and I think he may have realized that and knew he wouldn't really have to worry about him, because he didn't throw a single strike in our match, and he had in his previous matches, So it almost ended up being like a low-key gentleman's agreement, We never really talked about it, but we never struck each other. So it was almost a very similar match, aside from he got in a little deeper in some leg entanglements. I was able to take the back in regulation before overtime, but it was a very, very, very similar match. It was almost just like a double regulation and quadruple overtime.
Well, let's ask this, because I'm curious about the mentality of it. And I really am curious for this answer, because you get the perception of a gentleman's agreement, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing said. So,
Exactly.
like, how much are you going into it on a leap of faith of, like, I'm going to give you a look that's going to say, I'm not going to hit you if you don't hit me? Do you expect there to be, like, honor amongst thieves? Do you have a gun in the back of your pocket kind of, like, approach to a slap that you've got wound up? Like, how much of that is there? Because I know a lot of things is, we talk a good game about being like, hey, if you got there, obviously, if it's your teammate, you don't do that sort of thing. You guys aren't teammates. So, you both want this pretty bad. At what point did you realize, like, all right, I don't think we're slapping each other?
At one point, he sat to guard, and I casually stepped into a combat stance, and he was just very not covering his face. And again, because I didn't throw any strikes in my first 3 matches, I think he went in knowing I wasn't going to throw any. Whereas I went in, and then about a minute and a half, 2 in, I'm like, he's not even trying to hit me. But I was waiting for him to hit me, because then he wasn't framing,
Yeah,
he wouldn't be at my leg and hitting me. So I was like, here it comes. As soon as he does, I'm slamming past the knee shield. And then he did it, and then I did it, and then he did it, and then it was kind of like, all right, that's cool, whatever.
Is there any?
But I think at one point I went for like a really hard collar tie, and the crowd starts cheering. I'm like, nah, that was a collar tie. That was regular.
At what point, though, do you get any pressure from them? Are they kind of looking at you like, like, is Eddie off on the side being like, hey, look into this? Is Master Vic coming over to you and being like, 5 minutes left. Also, if you could do us a solid and slap in the face, that'd be great. Thank you, Master Vic Productions.
That would have been funny. Maybe like the referee, kind of like when they tell the fighters in MMA, worker, we're going to stand you up. They're kind of like, hit each other, we'll stand you up. But no, nothing like that. Afterwards, I probably thought about it. I'm like, man, Eddie was probably like, damn, beat a terrifying guy, and they didn't hit each other.
Well, because the one thing I have noticed about Kyle's game is I think Kyle has a similar sense of, listen, I'll slap as a means to get it done. I'm not afraid to be slapped. Yep. I'm not afraid to slap somebody, and that's something that you both share. It's just for him, I've seen him get slapped, woken up, and then it unleashed a power of like, oh, right, don't forget, I'm still very strong. Because I think he surprised himself the first time I saw him in a combat match where he could like be like, oh, right, I'm a good athlete. Well, bam, and I was like, damn. So
it definitely changes your approach, but the way we were bracketed, I was on deck waiting to get on the mat after his match, because he was bottom of the left side of the bracket, I was top of the right, So the way EBI works is, they have us waiting in the background. So as I'm watching his matches, I'm analyzing 2 different things. Like, is he the ground and pounder, or is he just striking back? And he was definitely reacting by striking back, but wasn't the aggressor in it. So I noticed that. I was like, okay, so he's probably, not necessarily going to look to get on top and range some strikes. And every time he won, he kind of walked past me. I was like, hey, it's going to be us. I guarantee it.
Well, that's good camaraderie. I mean, I know you guys, you're both very, very good. And I think it's, like I said, it's not a surprise to me and maybe to others. I think somewhere deep in everybody's hearts, they probably know you guys have the experience of being in those deep rounds. So I think there is that. I will ask, though, how tense did that finals overtime get? Because there was a moment where I think he realized he had to switch up.
Yeah.
And I think that was his idea, was you were doing really good off of the back, and I think that he was starting to wonder if he could do the same. And then you were getting out of the back control, and then I think he went over to Spider, correct?
Yeah, he picked he went armbar, back, armbar. And the first armbar I was able my first ride time I was on the full time. You know, I came close with a couple rear naked chokes, nothing crazy, you know, not necessarily close, but definitely uncomfortable for him, you know. And then when he picked armbar the first time, I got out really quickly, so I think he knew he needed ride time. But then I escaped the back rather quickly too, and was on for more ride time in my round. So I could hear Boogeyman and Gio telling him in the last armbar round, they said, bicep slicer right away, you need a submission. And I was like, bicep slicer, got it, stack. All right, I got it. So I knew he was going to try. I knew there was no ride time. I knew he was going to rip the arm, and I needed to be immediately reacting to that and not holding on to thinking that I'm not going to get armbarred. No.
To be perfectly honest, while I'm armchair quarterbacking over here, I took one look at you and I was like, I think he's got to go arm. I was like, I can't, like, don't get me wrong, if I had you in Spiderweb, I couldn't do shit to you. But I was like, best case scenario, I think we got to play this deep, because you were riding up that ride time where I was like, it's looking pretty solid for you.
And because the matches, you know, we everything, the whole event, it's so mentally and emotionally grueling that his armbar attacks were necessarily, I don't want to say, they were certainly technical, but they're more desperately looking for a finish, where I'm comfortably controlling the bag because I knew that I just felt confident with my ride time, you know. So I think what I mean to say is his last armbar attack was probably not his best one, you know, not a great separation of the hands. Is more like, I gotta get this shit, fuck, you know, and not separate my hands. And that's what I was counting on, knowing that.
Yeah, and I mean, there was definitely a moment that I caught where, you know, you realized you won, you were getting up and celebrating, rightfully so, and I saw that look on his face that was just kind of like, damn, you know, like, I think you could kind of see it in his face where he was kind of like, you know, it's tough, you know, because the weird part about it is you guys are so close with all of your matches that we've seen between here and Ultimate Mat Warriors. Like, I think a lot of people like seeing your styles clash. So, you know, again, respect to both of you guys. What does the celebration then look like?
What's up?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you know, I said it, ironically, I said it to you in San Diego a couple months ago that he's active, I'm active, we're both middleweights. I'm sure we'll do it again in the future. The future was 2 months from that, and we just did it again. So I'm fairly certain we're going to do, you know, a third match or fourth or however many.
I mean,
but I feel confident.
Could you cut me in on some of that action now? Because I feel like the fact that you're saying it in my interviews, I should be making money off of it somehow. Just throw me a good 10%. It's good.
I got you, man.
Appreciate it. What does the celebration look like to you, sir? Because, you know, you didn't, I don't know that you won the full chunk of change, but it's still a nice chunk that you ended up winning. So what do you do? What does celebration look like, especially in a foreign destination that doesn't hopefully close at 2 p.m. unlike some places?
Yeah, that one consisted of getting some street tacos. Yeah, I was probably not too keen on going bar hopping or anything like that in Monterey. But it was cool, you know. And the celebration, I think it's like still is going on this morning. Just trying to get as fat as I possibly can. Time that into Thanksgiving, so it's just been. I cut about 10 pounds for that tournament, so I've been just eating anything and everything. Whatever you offer me, I will take.
That's a terrible plan, and I still don't know how you would seem so thin after that. So is this like the fat version of you that we're looking at right now?
The fattening version of me.
Like
trying to.
Yeah, no. If you're gonna go the opposite way and try and get fat, you call me first thing as a coach, because I'll get you there. Because I went back to training yesterday and I looked at people and I was like, why do we do this? Like, this is terrible. Jiu-jitsu's dumb. We're all dumb. We should just eat and never do this ever again and just die quicker. So I'm curious about this because, one of the things that we didn't get into the last time we were chatting is we never got into your origin story. And one of the things I love doing about this is I always like asking people how they got involved in jiu-jitsu. Where does their origin story begin? So where does jiu-jitsu begin in your life, sir?
I think probably like most people that do jiu-jitsu, most people watch MMA first, right? So I was one of the seasons of Ultimate Fighter was still going on. Ironically, I watched Jesse Taylor on the season when I was like 16 and I wasn't even training, mad. And from the last one, so those were cool matches. But I watched some guy got armbarred on some season of the Ultimate Fighter, and at the time I had only watched boxing, so I thought it was so weird that they were wearing small gloves and they could wrestle, and bend his arm and win that way. So I googled it and it was an armbar, and I YouTubed it. Me and my brother tried it on each other in the living room, and I was like, all right, well I am definitely gonna learn that. And I wrestled a years, 1 year in high school, and then I was training by 17. I was doing jiu-jitsu. So yeah, probably through the MMA world, I would say.
Do you remember your first class?
Yeah. I walked in as a Gracie Tampa West with my coach Bamboo, Joe Wisman in Tampa, and I walked in. I think I had like a tap out shirt on, really long hair. I was flipping to the side, and I was like, oh man, these are just all grown adults. I was 17. It was like kind of nerd. I walked in, walked back out. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go. It's a free week trial. Why not? I'm going in. And I was competing 2 months later and never stopped.
Let's chat about this real quick. You said you had long hair. I am so angry at you that you did not provide our research team and department some photos of this, because we all see you cropped real nice and tight here. And like, how bad are we talking on long hair? Are we talking like McConaughey long hair? Are we talking Rock Band long hair?
I would say Rock Band, skateboard in my left hand, like that kind of long hair,
God, I would have made fun of you so bad. Okay, so if you
picture from the slide.
Well, next time you come on, I'm guaranteeing I'm going to request a photo, or I will find one. Do you remember?
Somewhere.
Do you remember though when you fell in love with jiu-jitsu? Do you have a certain moment? Because it takes a kind of crazy person to want to do this as a career, but a lot of that at the very beginning comes from passion. So I always ask people, do you have a moment that you distinctly remember where you're like, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do it upright?
Yeah, right. I mean, I was already so into the jiu-jitsu. So I didn't know jiu-jitsu was its own sport, So I knew it was an aspect of MMA because they finish fights with jiu-jitsu. And at the time, I was like, I want to be a fighter and blah, 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 blah. But right after, I knew so much, my coach Bamboo was telling me, okay, this is the guard. I'm like, yeah, and that's mount, that's the back. Yeah, no, I got all that. I YouTube this stuff all the time. So I was pretty good early, and I knew I would be doing it for a while. But right after my first competition, which I lost my first match, I was like, man, that was awesome. I want to do that again. Either I win and I want to do it again, or I lost and I still wanted to do it again. And then right after a couple in a row where I did pretty well, I was like, all right, I'm doing this forever. But at the time, they were really just like Grappler's Quest if you were really good, a couple Nagas every few months, and IBJJF 2-3 Nogi tournaments a year. So fast forward 10 years from now, you got tournaments in Mexico with Strikes and Kasai's and Polaris and stuff. It's fucking awesome, to have been able to stick through it and be here today.
We did just get a little information from one Ryan T. Danko, who just said, I got you, I'll send it in. And I think that's in reference to a long hair photo.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my best friends. But see, I'm going to choke him out if he does that. So,
Ryan, risk it all. It's worth it. If you get the information to me, I'm very far away and he can't choke us both out, at least not conceptually. He'll have to board a plane to come after me at the very least.
It can't just be at me.
I'm curious about this, though, because when you go through that, I was looking on the live stream, or I think the preview episode, and I was looking up your record, and I was like, did you fight in MMA? Did you actually have an MMA fight?
Yeah. I started pretty early, like fresh out of high school. Like as soon as I graduated, I was like, boom, I can train twice a day. Let's do it, And I had 12 amateur fights because in Florida you needed at least 5 to go pro. I just fought a ton of times in 2 years. and then I had one pro fight, which I won with a guillotine choke. I think that was the last guillotine choke I ever hit. But yeah, so I had enough experience to feel comfortable getting hit later on to do jiu-jitsu, or the combat jiu-jitsu.
It's funny because I couldn't find anything in terms of your amateur record, but I saw one photo of you, and then I very quickly, because I don't trust the internet, was like, is that him? Like, I can't even tell. Like, everybody looks down when they win, just kind of like that if they get that photo. And I was like, I'm on air right now. I think he won, and that'd be good. So, guillotine. Yeah, it sounds like him. Okay, good. But
a few of my fights, there's a few amateur fights on YouTube, but they don't hold on to your record, so I don't even think it's searchable. Just it says 1-0 as a pro. But yeah, there's some old footage of me trying to be a boxer on YouTube. Those days are long gone.
I was about to say, is there still an MMA itch at all? I mean, don't go running away just because I ask you a question about MMA. It seems his stream is finding us back right now. Are you back here, Dan?
Oh. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I didn't expect for you to run away when I got to the MMA question, but I guess that's where we are. Yeah. Do you still have that itch at all?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of MMA. And tons of my teammates fight, and every time I go to their fights, I'm like, man, that'd be cool. Blah blah blah. But then I guess combat jiu-jitsu is really all of the things I liked from MMA put together. We don't have to hit each other on the feet. You're not kicking me. Please don't elbow me. Grab me in a tie clinch. But if we go to the ground and we can hit each other, that's awesome. So yeah, no, I probably won't fight again. But I definitely like helping my teammates get ready for them.
I just know that you have to be a great resource to anybody who is fighting MMA, so that's good. So it's not like you really are out of sync of it. But at the same point, like, I think people, whenever they say, like, oh, you can just go between the two, and it's like, do you understand all the other time you would have to dedicate to all the other disciplines?
Without a doubt, and I think you see that in things like combat jiu-jitsu, most of the time you see, even though there are strikes involved, the jiu-jitsu, the sport jiu-jitsu aspect of it is so intricate and so detailed that if you're not spending hours and hours and hours drilling and sharpening and perfecting it, but instead you're doing kickboxing and ground and pound and wrestling and cage wrestling, and you're just not going to be able to keep up, even if you can strike. Oh, he found the picture, didn't he?
Well, Dank, no. Nick Price just put Dank about to catch a slap, and I thought that was pretty funny. But then Nick Price actually put this one down. And here's what I want to throw your way, because this is the one that made me laugh. But Nick Price suggested Dan Martinez versus Dillon Danis. Now, I don't even have to ask you if you'd do it.
Yeah.
I feel like every grappler, if they're proposed Dillon Danis, just goes, I will, for the benefit of our sport, beat the living shit out of him.
We'll do it for you guys, the people, the fans. Have spoken. I will get in a Bellator cage with 0 striking training, and I will fight Dillon Danis.
That's a good statement. I think we might get you some more exposure off of just that right there. Well, having said that, dude, I mean, the question I've got for you is, we talk a little bit about this momentum that you had going from Ultimate Mat Warriors. You were supposed to do finishers, but instead you got another opportunity in combat jiu-jitsu. What do the next few months look like? Do you have a super fight ready? And if you don't have a super fight or anything on the cards per se, what are you looking at?
I actually don't have anything coming up right now. No matches or I want to get registered under the IBJJF and knock out some of those tournaments next year, because I've competed a lot in IBJJF, and the format never changes my perception of how I'm going to play my game. So I've been successful in everything from that to CJJ and all. So I know I want to get into some of those, but yeah, nothing concrete, nothing locked in. So yeah, Polaris, Third Coast, hit your boy up, man. I'll be out there.
Let me ask this. I mean, obviously we can put in good recommendations to those folks on your behalf. So we're about to speak to Ryan momentarily, so I'm sure I can be like, oh, Dan Martinez is interested. Can you handle a combat jiu-jitsu champion, or is that not something you guys are interested in?
3 in January and February, remember, he's got nothing going on.
And here's the thing. I think it's almost a PSA on your behalf. If we don't put you in a match, you're just going to get, like, fat, dude, and we don't want that to happen to you.
This post-win extravaganza of eating is not going to slow down.
It's the holidays, dude. You know, I don't know if you guys, well, I don't know if you guys do this, but I have a certain way that I approach the holidays, which is, you know, I will actually, I'm not really a shit talker, but I actually will talk shit to my friends in advance as a means of scheduling training. So, like, if I see December's coming up, I literally am like, dude, your fucking half guard sucks. And they're like, what do you say about that? I was like, I'll see you on December 18th. That should be pretty fat then. Okay, good. So I strategically plan out my shit talking.
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, I'm curious, man. I mean, if that's not going to happen, you know, within the year, I hope that people are watching you, because I think the interesting thing is, strikes or no strikes, I think you've proven you're pretty adept at whatever the rule set is. You're fun to watch for sure, dude. And I think the fact that you've had a hell of a year, and we never even got the chance to talk about this. But tell me a little bit about, before we get you on out of here, tell me about ADCC, dude, because that shit just came out of nowhere, and I wanted to give you the biggest amount of kudos for that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, obviously that's the Olympics of jiu-jitsu, so to get the call, it was a dream come true. You know, the only thing that would have made it more of a dream come true would have been, you know, at my weight class with a full camp, you know, because I had competed at Ultimate Mat Warrior, so that's a sub only, and ADCC rules are very different, you know, and if you're not focusing your training on either one, it's going to be tough. But yeah, you know, I had a silver medal from the trials, and I got the call. Ironically, I got the call to replace Dylan Danis at 100 kilos, you know.
Oh, shit.
So I was about 20, so we got to run it now. That, you know, Seth hit me up on Wednesday, and they're like, hey, man, last minute, ADCC's on Saturday. We'll have you out here tomorrow. You'll compete on Friday or on Saturday. And I was like, yeah, man, without a doubt. So the only thing is, it's at 100 kilos. I was like, yeah, without a doubt. I got out there at like 27 pounds under, I think, in my match versus Vinny. So I was certainly not the top seed and certainly the smallest one. But I felt great. Felt like I belonged. Can't wait to do it again at my weight.
You looked great, dude. And you know, it's always hard. And I always feel like whenever you're put into that position where you get slotted in at the end, especially wherever the seeds may fall, you feel like you have to double earn it. You know what I mean? And I felt like for you, you put on such a great show that I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, you showed you should have been at that dance. A lot of people were really behind you. We were watching that shit live. And, you know, again, a lot of the times we take a Switzerland approach where I'm like, listen, I know you, I know Vinny, I know almost all of you guys. So it's not like I can sit here and just be like, well, let's yay one of you and boo one of you. I'm like, you guys handle it and I'll talk to you later, you know? And for me, I was like, you know, it went about as good as you could hope, where obviously a better scenario would be that something better happens. But for you to have made a statement on that stage, I remember talking to people and being like, yo, he may not have gone, but he did it, because that's a match that I was telling people when they asked, what should I watch? And I was like, go watch that match.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, man. Thank you. You know, I humbly agree, you know, and going out there, everybody's like, man, those guys are so big. Like, who would you want first round? And I kid you not, I said, Vinny or Gordon. They're going to be the top seeds. And if you don't think you can beat the top seed, then what are you even doing there, you know? So Best case scenario, you get the guy that everybody thinks is going to win, and I take it to him, you know? So, and I mean, obviously, you know, hashtag leg locks don't work. I got in a couple times in the leg, and I was like, damn, man, yeah, they don't work on them, do they? But it was a fun match.
Yeah,
I felt like it was long.
I gotta tell you, bro, he looked a little more concerned than leg locks don't work in the past. So I'll tell you that much. Because I was looking at you and I was like, bro, have you not looked at a hashtag? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I saw you and I was like, oh, wait, this is getting interesting. How's this going? I like where he's going on this.
After I was like, hey, you know that shit hurt, motherfucker. You know, that was a good grip.
Dan,
you did that, but you're not comfortable.
No, dude, I thought you brought it to him, and I thought that was the exact approach that I wish upon all of our friends who get that big time exposure. And you know, I had caught wind that you were in consideration for it I think even before we knew for sure, I just kind of heard through the grapevine, I was like, he should be in the mix. And, you know, I was like, I don't have any say in any of this shit, so I could literally just sit there and just go like, I'm going to wait like the rest of you guys. And the minute I heard you were in, I was like, fuck yeah. So props to you, kudos to you. And it seems like, you know, you capped off a great year. The Ultimate Mat Warriors was probably the loudest pop I've ever heard. ADCC has to be an experience unlike anything else. And then for funsies, right towards Thanksgiving, you decide to go win a title on international kind of reach. So for you, my friend, I think you had a pretty good year.
Without a doubt, and all of those three were in a 2-month span. So that was a solid 2.5 months of competing for sure.
It really goes to show to people like how much shit can change in that quick of a turnaround. You know what I mean?
Ironically, you know, right around May, June, I was sitting at home the same way I am now with nothing coming up. I knew Ultimate Mat Warriors was in September, but I'm like, you know, it's still like, you know, I still got June, July, August, you know, it's a few months away. And then bam, bam, ADCC, combat, boom. It's like, all right, perfect. I train every day, so I was ready no matter what.
All right, dude. Well, I know you got to get back over to teaching. I want to give you an opportunity to say, you know, a big shout out or any kind of props that you want to give to the individuals who helped get you, I guess, through these past, 2 months that have been pretty spectacular by all accounts. So if you want to throw some shout outs or to your sponsors, feel free, sir.
Without doubt, every one of my students and training partners at PAC and West and South and Brandon and, you know, it's our network of schools, you know, and everybody who was down to get slapped because not everybody wants to do some combat jiu-jitsu training with you, you know. So, you know, everybody, no judges needed for the clothing, you know, and giving me that super hot pink rash guard that everybody wants to buy now, but you can't because it's the Dan Martinez edition. And certainly everybody who stayed up and watched, you know, the combat, because I think right here at home it ended around like 3 a.m., you know, so it was cool to kind of finish the tournament and see that all my friends and family and training partners were all tuned in. So it was fucking awesome for that, you know. Appreciate it, guys.
Well, much props to you, sir, and I'm glad we were able to make this work, even though I was almost going to cross a barrier where I was like, how do I threaten this man? There's not much I can do. Like, he gets slapped in the face, so when he's not answering his fucking messages, I can only make fun of him. That's really my only play here. I can't go up to you and hit you. That's not going to work well for me. So I was just like, I'm about to really go on it. And then you were just like, hey, dude, oh, man, let's make this work. And I was like, that's right, Dan Martinez. We better fucking make this work, son.
If Ryan Dan go get to that picture, you can just post it on my wall, and I'll get it. I'll have to delete it real quick, and I'll be like, bro, what the fuck do you want?
I love it, dude. Dan, I'm going to let you get on out of here. I thank you so much for your time, sir. Again, you know, I know we were joking off air and you were saying like you were hoping to get an interview with me, but the honor's all ours, dude. We love the fact that you guys do well in our sport, and we try to give you the shine that you rightfully deserve, because winning something like that is very difficult, and let alone having a really good 2-month run has been very fun to see, sir.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everything you guys are doing for us, man. Keep it up. I'll definitely be here on this show again in the future.
Yeah, you probably will, but you better schedule better next time, or else I will go back to just plain making fun of you. Ladies and gentlemen, big thanks to our good friend Dan Martinez. Dan has to rush on out of here. Dan, I'll catch you later, buddy.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
No problem. All right, everybody. So here's what we got going on right now. Dan Martinez is least, gentlemen, because as you know, this weekend, if you're going to watch any event, and there are a few, I'd like to say there's probably one that you need to add where there's going to be some, you know, crazy ass shit happening. And this crazy ass shit is going to be the type that you're going to want to sit back, watch, and enjoy, because nonsense is afoot, my friends. When you are about to watch, not just Gordon Ryan talk shit to just grapplers, but also to wrestlers, and it seems like it's working. It seems like he's getting underneath their skin. So here's what I want to do right now. I want to ask the man who's putting it all together how the fuck this all came together, and more importantly, how he was able to rebound a card that has gone through more changes than, well, Bruce Jenner, let's just say that. But let's go ahead and bring on Ryan McGuire. Ryan, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Raph? How's it going, man?
Well, dude, okay. Let's take it back about a month's time or so. You had Gordon, you had Rodolfo. That was supposed to be the hot fire match that we were all excited for. It had already gone through a change, but we were looking at that match and we said that's hot fire. What happened there?
Man, to be honest with you, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but when we, over the summer, we kind of had a little bit of a contract dispute with our loving providers at Flow Grappling. And during that, we were going down the path to do our own platform with Submission TV and, do our own pay-per-view. And like, we had to start building our business towards that way. So in doing that, we were building the contracts and the deals with these fighters around, the economics of what a pay-per-view could do, giving them pay-per-view points, the financials of the deals were drastically different from what we could do under our new deal with Flow Grappling, which we're very happy with. We signed a good deal. It was very generous, and they've been great so far. So, I've got no complaints. But when we were out there, the deal that we made with Rodolfo was under those terms, that had a lot of different things involved that no longer applied. So when we re-signed with Flow, we had to go out and renegotiate or move some matches around to make some space for it, because I'm not about to take $100,000 bath or something. If I'm sorry, I love grappling, but I love my business more. So we took that as a chance to renegotiate with these guys, and we had a fair offer on the table to Rodolfo. I mean, I had a really good offer on there, but it wasn't what he was wanting, for the Gordon match. And hey, whatever, it's not on him. He didn't pull out. We had to renegotiate. The numbers didn't work for him after we had to change things a little bit. So we went a different route, which brought us to our friend Herbert. So,
well, let's chat about that, because that seemed like a replacement that, how do I put this? While exciting on paper, I think a lot of us wondered if that paper was written in pencil or in pen. Because even at the end of BJJ Fanatics,
finger paint was actually what was used. But no, with Herbert, look, I'm new to the industry, but I'm not new to people. I'm not new to, whether it's on the music side or whether it's on this side, people are the same. And look, I know this guy gets people angry. He gets them tight in the pants all the time. I mean, he's always pissing people off. And I knew going from Rodolfo and going to Herbert, I knew how risky it was. Like, look, I literally was researching backups and filling in alternates for Herbert when I was still making the Herbert fight. That's how much faith I had in that match actually happening. So I was talking to Gordon long before Herbert pulled out about, hey, we need to maybe look at this. But we both said, fuck it. We played on, the bad blood, the heat that's already there that Herbert's able to generate and that Gordon was able to do. And they got in their little spat, and it helped us elevate our name even more. We got like 1,200 Brazilian followers out of it. And, we just kind of, whatever, it was just fun. We talked a lot of shit. It went around in circles. Herbert had that debacle at, Spider that kind of reinforced our decision to pull him, because, we offered him a certain amount, and then it came down to, he was dragging his feet on giving like his flight information and stuff. So we were like, look, man, like, either give me this information or whatever. And he's like, well, okay, here's my information, but I also want 2 nonstop first class flights from Brazil to Houston for me and my coach. And I'm like, so you want me to spend like $3 or $4 grand on airfare and then still pay you this? Oh no, but I don't want you to pay me this. I want 5,000 more on top of that. So he didn't want this fight, man. Gordon was going to spank him, and it was just honestly an exhibition of spanking for us all to finally get what we all wanted to see. We all knew what was going to happen. He had no chance, and he knew that as well. So that's why he pulled what he did. So it is what it is.
And well, thank you for being candid with us on that, because I mean, the hard part is, I'm pretty sure that even the most critical or crazy fan would look at this situation and go, yeah, I kind of feel for you, dude. Because things have restructured. Obviously, new things are coming up. And yet you had these guys who, for whatever reason, one seems pretty legitimate and the other seemed a little wacky, wasn't going to happen. So now we get into the realm of, we're not even looking at a jiu-jitsu guy. We're looking at a wrestler for Gordon to go up against. So now we're getting into batshit territory of like, wait, what's happening and how are the rules being put together? And did this just get put together in the Instagram comment section? How did that all come together at that point?
Well, I mean, after the Herbert match, me and Gordon started kicking around. Like I said, we'd already been talking about it. But like the match I immediately jumped to was Kynan Duarte. And Kynan was out of the country in Germany. I was like, that's the match. He just beat Nicky. It's has some heat to it. He wants to avenge the loss. He just won ADCC as well. It was a great match. It's the match everybody thought it should be. But he wasn't available, so, we looked to Kyle Boehm, and right now it's just not a good time. Gordon had some rib issues. He wants to do a full EBI camp for that match. So whatever, I get it. But And then it was like, you know what, let's do something crazy. If we can't get one of these, marquee matches here, I don't want to just do a match that's going to kind of fall flat after, the Herbert and Rodolfo thing. So we were like, hey, let's, I've been wanting to do a wrestling, like kind of like a wrestler versus grappler deal since earlier in the year with Kyle Snyder and Yuri Samoa. So I almost made that one earlier this year. But so it was like, hey, let's find some wrestlers. We went to Pat Downey, and when he's in Russia that weekend, and then Bo Nickel was also, messaged around the same time, and he came up, and man, he stepped up. Props to him. I mean, he said yes without a doubt, and he's ready to throw down. So, it was very interesting. His manager got involved, Malky Kawa, who also reps John Jones and those guys. He's been cool to deal with. So, we all got together and we started thinking about rules that could make it more of a, give even the playing field a little bit, make it a little bit more compelling rather than a pure wrestler coming into pure grappling rules. So,
well, let's talk about those rules though, because I'm intrigued to hear what they are. I mean, I've read them, but I'd like our audience to know what they are, and just a little bit of the behind the scenes on how those specific rules came to be.
Well, basically, we're just using my base rules, our Third Coast Grappling rules, which are, based around IBJJF scoring. And then, we were talking, we're like, well, I don't want Gordon to be able to come out and just sit down, and take the fun out of it. So we're like, hey, let's, even the field. I had recommended no guard pulling, and Gordon immediately said, yeah, let's do it. And that was good for them. And then we started talking about heel hooks and leg locks. We don't want to injure. It's not that Gordon's going to do it to him. It's just the fact that they don't want that option on the table with the Olympic trials about to start.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't want my guy getting his ACL torn. So that's where that came about. And then, 15 minutes just to give it some time. What's more of a good thing? Let's have more. So it was pretty easy. I mean, it's not too big of a deviation from our rules like people were trying to, kind of say it was. It's not that big of a change.
I mean, the element of we're so used to having a particular like sub only or points mentality. So now in that sense, with the wrestling aspect of it, there are points. It's just foreign to some of our people. So it may be just a little off in terms of what we're used to there. But here's the nice part is the upside is the potential of bringing in two new audiences and having them clash together. So that's my biggest hope for you on this is that you get more exposure on it.
Yeah, that was the point of the matchup too. I mean, I've been wanting to get those. I mean, jiu-jitsu and grappling as a whole is still a very niche audience. So the way to get to more people is to try to cross over to, other sports or other audiences. So that was something that we've tried to do. I like the UFC guys versus the grappling guys. I like the wrestlers versus the, jiu-jitsu guys. It just brings in more people, more eyeballs, and more, more excitement for it. So I think that's kind of you're going to see a lot more of that happening, I think, after this.
Well, I will tell you this, though. The only thing that caught my eye was when I saw you were comparing this to Floyd and Conor. And there was a split part of me that was like, do I give you shit on this or do I applaud you for bringing it together? Because the marketing side of me says, but then the actual side of me says, no one else is doing this or making it happen. So I'm of two minds on this one.
Look, I'm a promoter. At the end of the day, come on. I mean, I'm gonna sit out there and I'm gonna use hyperbole. I'm gonna talk a little bit to hype my event. I mean, what do they expect from me? I mean, but if you look at the parallels between Conor and Floyd versus, obviously boxing and MMA are a much more mainstream and elevated sport than wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
But at the same time, for us, you have a guy that's a pure wrestler, a la Floyd, being a pure boxer, and then you have Conor, who's kind of the mixed guy, with that being Gordon with kind of a mixed background, and they're going to come together. They're both Gordon's the best at what he does, Bo's one of the best at what he does. It's just kind of those are about kind of like the similarities, but I mean, as far as their status and things, no, it's nowhere near that, nowhere near the type of promotion or hype. But that's the similarities for me.
I just hope that as a comic, I read something like that and I go, pen down, Raph. I'm talking to him today. I'll just give him shit on air. Let's talk about this though, because I don't want this to overshadow what else is going on your card. Because I think the thing that people are forgetting is you've also got an excellent co-main event here. So do you mind sharing with us a little bit of information on that, sir?
Man, Homolo has been a big supporter of us from day one. He's a great guy. He's always been a big, he's always a good guy I can go to, I can talk to when I need some good motivation. He's always positive, always excited, and he was talking about, hey, coming back for the right match. He didn't like the way the Tinoco match went his last time out, and he wanted to come out and and have a match against somebody with some status. And, you know, Jake Shields came up, and, you know, Jake being a legend, I mean, he'd be the UFC champion wasn't for GSP. I mean, the guy's fought everybody. He's beat everybody. And he's a legit legend. So, you know, Homolo being the legend he is in his own right, it just seemed like a good, you know, good match at both points of their careers to kind of bring them in and see. I mean, look, I know historically Jake's, people can say, oh, he's boring or this or that. And people say Homolo, he plays it safe sometimes. But I think that they're both at the point in their career, they're just going to come out and try and let loose and put on a show. At least that's what they've told me. So,
well, think of it this way too. I mean, Jake's grappling is pretty solid, dude. I mean, especially with the teams that he has trained with and the individuals that he has had rounds with. And I've heard very good stories about it. And, you know, I mean, here's the good news, dude. We saw it this weekend. Even though I don't know that Polaris turned in a great match with Rockhold and Nicky Rod, that's a different entity and into itself. Like now with these two individuals, you've got Homolo, who has a very rich history of competing. And then you have Jake Shields, who's down for the cause and has competed in some grappling events more recently. And more importantly, has a really good pedigree. So at the base of it is you're continuing that thread of trying to mix and give us the clash that I think other people talk about, but I don't know how much we actually see it in other places.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody talks about crossover, this and that, but sometimes it's just easier for people to do what they know. You know, why are you if you're making good money, if you're, you know, throwing great shows why are you going to change your model to go after the newest fad? Because it's just like heel hooks or lapel guard or this or that. It's like right now it's wrestler versus grappler. Next week it'll be it'll be something else.
Well, if you're not careful, I don't know. I feel like if Gordon gets done early enough, he may be taking crowd requests, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are side bets where he just goes, no, bring a couple more wrestlers here while we got time. I wanna make some more money.
It's gonna be fun, man. It's a lot of pickup from Flow Wrestling. Those guys don't really ever get involved on jiu-jitsu and grappling stuff, and they've been pumping out stuff, and it's
wild, dude.
Yeah, so it's like you don't see that ever with these guys.
Nah, and they seem to be taking an interest. They can't, you know, for them to be getting involved and being like, who does win, kind of a thing. I think that's pretty dope. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your other matches on your card, because again, it is. Don't get me wrong, the hook of Bo and Gordon is great, but I do know that you guys have spent a lot of time matchmaking. And the top of the card is always important, but the hard part is the top of the card has gotten all the attention because it's got so many changes. What else is going on this weekend?
Well, we got Gilbert Gurns versus Edwin Najmi. Gilbert off the, that great match he had with, Polaris this weekend. It was great. You know, it was a tough match for him, but I think it went well. I think Tommy Langaker was his opponent, right? I think you have him on today.
He is going to be coming on in Viking time, so I believe we have him set to go. Probably in about 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I think that was a great match. I mean, Gilbert fought a guy that, you know, is a legend at our last event, Marcelo Yurperu. I mean, a guy's fought everybody. He's in the Masters now, but the guy was he's a legit legend. And Gilbert it was tough, tough to watch. I mean, it was not a good match for Marcelo, but he got a heart of a lion and hung in there. But with Edwin coming in now, another Gracie Baja guy. You know, Edwin's coming off that Spider loss. I mean, he put up a good fight. He had a really good match. And I think he's still got a lot to show. He's happy to be back in the gi. And I think hopefully we'll have a good show from him. But other than that, we have that tag team co-ed match that everybody got all pissed off about. So that's going to...
Did people really actually get mad at it? Or is it just kind of like a muted amount of a small army?
There was definitely some people saying, like, what are you doing? You know, man versus woman, their bones are lighter, like some of the craziest stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? The bones are lighter. Like it was just some. I don't go on Reddit because if I get on Reddit and start reading that, I'm gonna want to like pull like a Jay and Silent Bob and like go around and beat everybody's asses that's talking shit about us. So like getting on like you know what I'm talking about, that movie?
Yes, I think it was, absolutely. Yeah. They Strike Back. That's the name of that movie. I mean, I've famously said we could literally be saving kittens and Reddit would still be like, fuck you. Man, I'd be like, but I mean, there's a bunch of disgruntled blue belts that get together and really just want to tell you what jiu-jitsu is all about. Here's what I'll tell you, though. I think the purpose of Reddit is supposed to be an ability to share what so many of us are working on. And I feel that people are more than entitled to their opinions. The weird part is when you get people who espouse them like assholes. And so you're just like, it's not even a difference of opinion. There is no opinion. It's just a shit post that you're creating. So that's why for a content creator like myself, or for you, a promoter, there are going to be similar means to an end, which is we're putting out something for you guys. Hopefully you like it. Oh, you don't? Well, a lot of other people do. So, have fun. Yeah. But I'm not really going to be that angry about it. So I've come to a very zen place with it. Every once in a while, I do pop in and just be like, hi, I'm listening. That's all. I
kind of do the same thing, too. I'll just pop in and then, I'll just, argue with a few trolls. I think in the past, 2 months, people, deleted their accounts. After I'm in the defender, why? People got pissed off with the changes. Look, I get it. Initially it was Felipe, then it was this, and it was this. And look, as a company, we haven't been around that long. We're just past our year, kind of our year deal. And it's, it's had a lot of changes trying to figure out how to make this thing work. It's not easy. Seth's model is probably one of the few models that actually work. So we were just trying to find our own way. But we're getting there.
And here's the good news. Sometimes they get mad just because they've been promised something, but they don't know the reality of making that promise. And so it's not like you're just taking it away from them because you want to. It's just situations and things change. I would say, though, that what is interesting about what you guys are doing is you're being very transparent about what you're going through and how the process is. And I think that's something that not everybody gets privy to. So I'm very grateful when I see you kind of telling us straight up, oh, we wanted to do it, but some shit changed. So we fixed it, and now you still have an event. But what I am curious to ask you is, I saw that you've already put stuff on the calendar for 2020. So what are those things, and beyond this weekend, what happens?
We've got January 19th. It's our inaugural kids event, which is basically we're going to take all the big production, all the big show, and we're going to give it to the kids because everybody's like, oh, Third Coast Grappling, I don't let kids in at your events. You don't do this. I'm like, I don't want kids in at my events there. There's people drinking, getting loud music, testosterone everywhere. I was like, I don't want my kids in there, so I'm not going to allow kids in there. So it's, so we decided to say, hey, you know what? We want to do a kids event, but we're going to do it on a Sunday at 2 to 6 p.m. We don't want to go out and throw a show that's out till midnight with kids running around the bar and all that stuff. It was just, so we went to this kids thing. There's not a kids show out there, not one that's, giving these kids kind of like a super fight platform to where it's just all about them. So we're hoping to, we're working with some partners here in Texas, like Mona Bailey and her dad, John Bailey. They've been helping us out. They know the kid. Yeah, they know the kid game back and forth. So John's been helping me. He's basically did the matchmaking and really helped me kind of get the kid side together because I'm, admittedly ignorant to all of it. And because I stayed away from it because the parents I couldn't deal with it. So,
hey, listen, I got parents who try to throw their kids on this show. And I tell them I do a much more adult-oriented thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on tape saying the word motherfucker when I've got a kid on the air. That doesn't go well for my values, but I'm always I'm amicable to it, but I have to do it differently than I like doing it. And when that happens, I don't get that interview that I like to get. So, it's just being respectful and telling them hey, I'm not opposed to it, but you need to do your homework on me. Just make sure that you do it both ways. Don't just look for the interview. Look for what the interview can do.
Exactly. So we got that January 19th, a premier kids event. We're kicking off. We're going to do 4 of those this year. So we got that. And then February 1st is our next qualifiers event, which will be brown belt males, 180 below, and purple belt females, no gi, 160 and below. A couple of super fights we'll mix in there. And then March 14th, we're turning it back quick to Third Coast Grappling 4, which is going to be huge. If some of the stuff that confirms that I'm working on right now. We confirmed one yesterday, but I don't want to drop that news yet until maybe after the event. But it's a pretty big one. Another crossover match.
You wouldn't drop it during the broadcast then?
I don't know. I was kind of told in an email to kind of, by the powers that flowed and not to give it away yet. But if you've been watching Instagram and you've been seeing some of the stuff going on, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together.
Good.
So.
I have an idea, but I won't ruin the surprise as to, I guess, do that. You've told me nothing, but if those are the clues you're giving me, I'll say this.
The main event's going to be even, the main event is almost done too, and that's going to be a return of a guy that's been away for a little bit since Worlds, and maybe a return of somebody else. It's a giant match. I've got it about 90% done, and when I'll actually message you when we get off here and let you know what it is. But I'm excited about this one.
Well,
super excited.
Here's what I can tell you. I'm very excited about that. I always love when I see, you're putting on an event, but you've already got next year planned. And I think it's dope that you're doing an event for the kids. I honestly know that's a difficult beast to do, but I think that's a really important thing because a lot of times the kids feel like, hey, I'm just coming out here, and they don't want to be a sideshow. They want to get their own respect. So, and
sure.
The nice part is that you can be doing that, and then all of a sudden, those are the dynamite kids that you see tearing it up. So,
exactly.
Big props to you for that, man. Well, here's what I'm going to do to you right now. I'm going to give you the floor because I know we're short on time, but I'm going to give you the floor, and I'm going to tell you if somebody's on the fence on potentially looking to watch this weekend, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to give me your best sell as to why they should watch this weekend.
You should watch it this weekend because I'm not going to say unlike other events, but our events, we try to put quality into every match we make. I mean, everything from the preliminary card to the main card is going to be stacked full of matches that actually had effort put into them to make them either fun, interesting, compelling, whatever. There's always going to be a storyline to each match. So I guarantee that if you sit down or if you come out to the event, especially if you come out to the event, you'll be entertained from beginning to end. I mean, it's unlike anything you'll see. It's like a rock show, but with jiu-jitsu. And it's a lot of fun. So if you're at home, get with your friends, get some beers, hang out, and watch some good jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's going to be a spectacle like you haven't seen. Seeing Gordon and Bo Throwdown is going to be crazy. So tune in.
Well, let's do this. We're going to do a throw where I know it's going to be on Flow Grappling, but at what time does it start, sir?
6:30 p.m. Central Time will be the first match.
So 6:30 p.m. Central, so that's 7:30. That's on the East Coast, and then that's 4:30 over here on Best Coast time. Ryan, I very much look forward to seeing it. I'm sure we'll catch up after it is all said and done. But to everybody, please watch this weekend. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you will. And I know that you could watch it on your phones with the replay or whatever it is the next day. But how about we try and tune in this weekend to see it, because it's not very often that we get super matches like this. And I think it'll be pretty exciting to see these guys throw down, because here's the thing. I know so many of you guys have invested a lot of attention on the Instagram on this. I've had a lot of people throw these Instagram posts at me as if I haven't seen them. And I appreciate it. But if you're that interested, don't just talk about it. Be there and show up for this, man. So,
right on.
Very, very happy to see you, man. I will talk with you a little bit later. Our thanks to Ryan McGuire from Third Coast Grappling. Here's what's going to happen right now, guys. We're going to go ahead and do an interview that I did a couple weeks ago with our good friend Leandro Gomes. And Leandro is a beast of an individual. This is an amazing interview that goes all over the place, but he starts off by showing you a couple techniques, one of which that he ended up using in an MMA fight to win, and it is that of a knee bar. I hope you guys enjoy this interview, and let me know in the comment section what you think of it, as well as the other academies you'd like me to go visit in the future. Now, Leandro Gomes. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your good friend, Rafa Esparza. Now, if you're wondering why you're listening to a voiceover and not the sound on tape that we did to record this segment right here, it's because the audio is kind of low. So it's pretty interesting watching myself make these gestures and now do a joke that none of you are going to be able to hear. That's not the point here. We're debuting a new segment here on the show where I actually go to visit many of the athletes that we interview in their natural habitats. Here we're at King's MMA out in West Hollywood, and I'm interviewing Leandro Gomes, who not only gives us an amazing interview, but shows us the knee bar that he used to win his last MMA fight. So we have a gi and a no gi variation for those of you to watch. So that's coming up next, and then stick around for the interview. Look at me killing these nonverbals. And now I throw to that segment. Hope you like it.
One thing I like to do, I can use my knee bar from here, but I like to use when my opponent he try to stand up. As soon as he try to stand up, I'm gonna switch my grip here, and then can you try to stand up, please? Look, this is what I need. This knee here. My knee inside his leg here, and then I use my leg to pressure his hip, and then I'm gonna grip on his knee and then bring like this. Now the other leg, I'm gonna use my hand to lift his arm, and then push my foot here, and then now what I'm gonna do, make sure I like to give an extra pressure here, then bring the knee for me, and then use my his knee for me, and use my leg this way, and then now I'm gonna kick my left leg and straight in, leg straight in, this one. And then this grip here is very important. Why? Because he cannot move out like still with the grip here, and then the pressure there. Did you see his leg go come through my knee bar here? As soon as I know I have the good pressure here, I can let go the grip and then go to straight to knee bar. Here, this way. One more time. Here. As soon as you try to stand up, switch my grip and then go here. This leg here and my knee inside, I put on my knee. And then now I'm gonna use this leg, put my foot there. And then now I'm gonna use this. At the same time I'm gonna kick my left leg. I'm gonna straight in my left leg and then use my right hand to bring his body over my body. Like this. Here. And then I kick with my grip there. And then make sure you have a good pressure here, and then you can pass the leg there, and then now I can let go the grip and go straight to knee bar.
Alright, sweet. So, that makes sense, again, for the gi. But the question is, what happens if we're fighting? Because, in fighting, you don't really have the pajamas. It's okay. We just make adjustments. So why don't we go and show what that variation looks like?
With no gi, just, I'm going to show to you guys how can you use for no gi and for MMA. Okay, first we're gonna use a no gi here, and then what I like to do is switch my grips the same, and then I'm gonna grip on his wrist here, and then I'm gonna put on my knee is the same one, but before I have to use my leg to make him off, lose the balance here a little bit. This one and this is space where I'm looking for my knee gonna go right straight down here, and then my hand go here. This way. And then when I use that one, I make sure you go as close as possible here and bring, and then I keep pressure my leg this way, and then bring his, some guys like to use the both hands here to bring the leg. To be honest, I like to keep my hand here. Why? Because I need to use my other leg here. As soon as I have the other leg here, I keep my grip here, and then I'm gonna bring his body with my right knee, and then straight my left leg. This one, and then I can let it go, and then go straight to knee bar here, or here, where you feel comfortable to finish the knee bar. Now, and for MMA, some guys like to push it up, they put the hands here, and then push it up a little bit, like, to punch. Like, some guys like to work running pound here, and we see the other guys just keep here. What are we gonna do? Just work your hands here and then put your head to the side leg. I'm here, and then I keep pushing like this way. Here, make sure, why? Because if he keep here, he can push me like this. He can steal like a World Jiu Jitsu or a ground and pound from that. I keep like, I work my hands here and keep here, and then what I'm gonna do, now I'm gonna use my leg to bring his body and go straight here and catch his leg. You see how can I keep tight here? I don't straighten my body to do knee bar. I keep here, and then now you can finish this one, or you pass this leg here. To be honest, I like to finish from here. I have a good pressure here. Here, and then.
So good, that's pretty dope. Now you said, how many brothers do you have?
I have 3 brothers.
You have 3 brothers, all black belts?
Yeah, 1 black belt karate and then 2 black belt jiu-jitsu.
Do you guys make fun of the one with the karate black belt?
Yeah.
Well, now that we've seen the variation of this, I have a lot of questions, especially for a black belt family. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we're back, we're going to have a full interview and find out a little bit more about his fighting career, as well as just about Leandro the person. Okay, well, I want to first start by thanking you. That was some really great technique explanations. You say there's 2 other jiu-jitsu black belts though in your family, right?
Yeah.
Which one of you has the best knee bar out of the 3 of you?
Ooh.
You do know they'll see this, so I'm pretty sure that's why you're taking a second to think about it.
No, I think like they are better than me for sure, 100%. Like
I didn't ask if they're better than you. I'm asking who has the best knee bar because I think you're waffling on it. I wonder if you think you actually have the best knee bar of your family.
I'm scared. I'm going to Brazil in December. If I say one, the other one gonna kill me. Anyway, I think my brother Henrique Gomes, he's my master, and then he teach me everything about like a pressure, about you don't like to lose position. He said no, you have to. If you get position, you have to finish, fight for it, and I think in Hikdom he's great.
That's kind of it.
Homai, you're gonna kill me. Homai is my younger brother.
Yeah.
He's great. He's like, but he's more, he's different style because he work at judo. He work on bottom, top. He's like any situation has game.
So let me get this straight. We got a family with karate, judo, jiu-jitsu. You're fighting MMA. Do your other brothers fight MMA?
No, my father was capoeira.
Oh God!
Capoeira,
what didn't you guys do?
I think 2 black belt taekwondo, and like my cousin is like the family in Brazil we have to fight, and then we train. I was 8 years old, and then with my brothers and my mom always like by my side. And when you cry to don't go to the school, like, oh mom, 7 a.m. I don't want to go to school, something like that.
Yeah.
It's my mom for jiu-jitsu and training. She's like, oh, you have to train. I said, no mom, I'm tired. She said, no, I don't care. Your opponent is trained now. You have to train. Are you think you're a black belt? She's like that. I'm a black belt. No, for me, you're not a black belt. You have to train. I'm like, what?
So wait, is your mom a black belt too?
No, she's like, she's think like she's black belt. Like, my mom.
In her house, she is the black belt.
She's always. But me and my brother, we train like in Brazil, we train like a 10 to 1 a.m., 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. like usually.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then 7 a.m. the other day, my mom, hey, let's go. What are you doing, guys? Let's go train. I'm like, wow, let's go. We need some rest. And she's, no, you need to train. And my mom, she's always like, sometimes we go out and then we watch some movie. And my mom, hey guys, what do you think about we go to the gym now and then do some drills and say, oh, but we watch the movie now? No, we can do later. Let's go to the gym. And then she make us go to the gym and do drills, no rest.
Something like, we got a DVD, we'll just watch it later.
Yeah.
How about, I'll put on the movie as you train and get some reps in. But you know what though? That's so great because most people, and I don't know how typical this is in most families, but they always figure if you can't get away with it with one family member, you go to the other. So in this case, it's like, well, mom's like pushing us, let's go to dad. Dad's probably like, yeah, go train.
Yeah, she's like always like with me and my brother. Sometimes my brother call, hey, talk to mom. My brother's in Brazil now, and she talk to mom. She's like, oh, you have to train. When my mom come visit me, like I call my brother, hey, talk to mom. She's like always here, like, hey, you have to train. If she's here, she make, Leandro, my brother's there, Leandro got in trouble. And then when my mom back to Brazil, I'm like, oh, my brother got in trouble now.
Do you get some credit though when you go home and you're like, I brought you guys a Kneebar victory in my last fight. What more do you want? Can I have Christmas dinner this year? Like, are you guys gonna leave me alone for a month?
Yeah, let's 1 week off, mom. She's no. When I finished she was with me like my last fight, and I finished my fight. But my brother, he's crazy. Like my mom said, oh, he lost one knee bar before. I said no. I set up I tried to do a knee bar. He defends very well, and then I tried to do triangle from that. Just transition. My mom, no. What do you think about you go to the gym, back to the gym, and fix this? I call your brother, and your brother can help you. I say, mom, today's Monday. I fought like 2 days ago. Like I need rest. She's like, okay.
The commission's like talking to your mom, being like, he has like 5 concussions. She's like, I don't care. You better be at the gym on Monday.
Yeah.
Be like, well, we're not letting him train. I am, and I'm his mom, so I'll sign the parent. Well, okay, so you started about 8. Obviously, it's in the family. The hardest thing I think that most people in jiu-jitsu families, those kind of dynasties, those everybody trains kind of families, is finding your own sense of self. So the question I love to ask people is, when did you actually, you as a person, fall in love with jiu-jitsu by yourself?
Yeah, I was start with karate first. I was 8 years old, and after that I did capoeira for 3 years. And then my brother, he started jiu-jitsu. And then it was, no, capoeira and karate is this. My brother, okay, I'm gonna take you down and then take your arm. I said, no, but I'm gonna kick you. And he's like, pow, and he took me down, and then like, oh, look. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't move. I'm like, oh, maybe I can do jiu-jitsu, right? And then I started to train jiu-jitsu, and then little bit capoeira, and little by little I started to compete, and then this is my passion. Like I do MMA, I love MMA, but my passion is jiu-jitsu, grappling. Grappling for me is like it changed my life. Like outside the mat, I have a respect as a fighter and discipline because of everything come from martial arts. You know, I have a great family. My brothers, my mom teach me a lot, and this make me my family. We have a hard time in Brazil. Like Brazil sometimes like it's hard, and the martial arts make us like stronger and close, and this is what I love, because it make me and my brothers like help each other, like if you ask me who's better, I'm gonna say my brother's better. If you ask my brothers, they're gonna say Leandro is better. This is like
So you hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I interview them in the future, they're gonna be like, I saw that interview. He's not that good. He's gotten by on some easy we fed him some tomatoes, and he's just built up his rep from that. But that's a wonderful thing. Like, I know that one thing that's great is my sister and I both do photography for jiu-jitsu, and it's something that I feel, even though she doesn't do the art, it's like I get to introduce her to what I love about this, because I train and I know so many of the fighters, and I'm obsessed with trying to get better. So like, it's so cool to have somebody who's outside of that perspective see it and go, I love this, and I love watching all of you guys learn and do this. So we bond through, like, we'll look at these photos and be like, did you get that shot? I'll be like, dude, this guy's arm broke. It's awesome. But also, I threw up when I took this photo. But for you guys, it's got to be so great that you have these resources that you can bounce off of, because so much of fighting is alone. Even though you have a team, it's usually you by yourself, grinding, running, doing all these things. So it's got to be great to have that support system, of course.
Yeah, like I'm blessed to have my brother with me, because they teach me everything, from beginner, and then they still like we talk about, like I said, like before my fight, 2 days before, and then my mom did a FaceTime, and then my brother's like, oh, do that Kneebar again. I did, and my brother, no, you don't like this, you don't have no pressure. FaceTime and say, come on guys.
I want to make sure that people know that they're using the technology here to FaceTime, to ridicule the technique. I'm being like, that could be better. And it's like, well, I could end this call. I could just, you know what, I don't want to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
But like, that's how you guys spend your communication time with each other. I am curious though. Okay, so jiu-jitsu is the passion, the thing that you love the most. How does MMA happen? Because for me, when people are like, oh man, Raph, I bet, you can't do this type of stuff and not want to fight. And I was like, no, I'm good. I know. Jiu-jitsu is my thing, and I'm just okay with that. Where does that enter for you?
Back in the days, I was in the school. I fight a lot on the street fight. I know, guys, this is not correct.
It's not good. Don't do that, kids.
Don't do that.
But if you have to street fight, win, I guess is the only thing I say.
And then always my mom, what are you doing, Leandro? And then I'm in Brazil, I walk, and then, in the school, and I was 15 years old, 16 years old. I say, my brother said, okay, 1 week without jiu-jitsu, and I start to cry. No, jiu-jitsu, no, okay. And then I realized jiu-jitsu is my passion, but I have my style for jiu-jitsu, you know, is always looking for submission. I move forward, and then I like to be aggressive, and I realized like I start with karate and capoeira, and then my jiu-jitsu is like always like a Ronald Jacaré jiu-jitsu, Rodolfo Vieira, like always forward, and then I start to train, and then you know one day I talked to my family, no MMA. I said, hey, maybe I can do MMA. My friend, no, my brothers, no, my mom, my wife, no, and I said, okay. And then one day, I went to the bed to sleep, and then woke up like at 3 or 4 a.m. and crying. I said, what? And then I said, okay. And I bring my family, I say, hey, come here. And then, hey guys, you know why? I'm like, last night I was praying, and then this morning I'm like, I have something, you know, inside, like I say, hey, you have to do MMA, like I think it's gonna be good, because back in the days, like no food in my house. And then I said, okay, I was Brazilian champion like 1 week before this. I won my Brazilian championship, and then I said, okay, we have no money to eat or something like that. I think MMA, I can use that, you know, my jiu-jitsu to have a money to buy a house for my mom, to have food home. And then after that I start to think about a lot MMA and start to train by myself. My first partner, MMA partner, is my mom. She like this, how can I say, sweep? Yeah, she break on sweep. I said, give this. She said, okay, I don't want you to go to MMA, but how can I help you? I say, okay. I give to her, like, okay, do this, and then keep, and then I'm just blocking, you know.
Hold on, okay, there's a lot to unwrap here. First of all, your first partner was your mom in fighting, who didn't want you to do MMA.
MMA, she's
right?
my first.
Even though she was the person hustling and being like, you're not drilling enough.
Yeah.
You could be drilling more. But I mean, that's fine if you don't want to, if you're weak, but like, that's cool. The same person who was giving you that drive was now telling you, I don't think you should do MMA. Yeah. And then when you did start going into that, she was the first person who was saying like, all right, I'm not in love with this idea, but if you're gonna do it, let's do it right.
I think this is the mom, you know, just mom do this. Like my mom, my brothers actually, like for almost 2 years I trained by myself. My brother said, no, we don't want to help you, like because you are like you start building a big name in jiu-jitsu now, and why you're gonna start from zero for MMA?
Yeah.
You know, like and then my mom said, okay, I'm gonna help you, and she's the first teammate. And then my mom like helped me, and after that my brother said, okay, he's serious, he take it serious, let's help him. And then they start to help me for MMA. Cool. Like for jiu-jitsu, I always like have my brothers, but back then they said, oh, I want to do MMA, like something like no, if you want to do jiu-jitsu, we can train.
I'm sure from their perspective is they're probably wanting to look out for your health. They know it's risky, they know it's tough, and I think they probably want to, they know that if they do it, it's like they condone it. You know, they're saying like, oh, yes, it's okay, but them saying we don't want to help you is them being like, listen, we're doing it because we love you, and it's hard, I'm sure, for them who have specializations to say like, we have to actually keep ourselves out. But then once they see how committed you are and that you have a good knack for it, you have some success, I think it's inevitable to have those people go, okay, then this is what we do as a family.
Yeah, the family. This is what I said. Like my brothers, they are always by my side. Like even like when they say we don't want to do transition for MMA, they still help me with my jiu-jitsu every day. Yeah. You know, but anyway, like I start to get like, okay, I came here, and the master Rafael Cordeiro, he give me the hand. Like he's like I respect him as a father. You know, like he's a master inside and outside the mat. Yeah. And then when I came here, he said, you know, like I came to Master Rafael Cordeiro and said, yeah, I have just grappling. He said, okay, give me 6 months. I'm gonna make you like a striker. And then I remember 5 months he put me to sparring with great guys, like a UFC guys, and then I sparring just stand up, and he said, how many months? I said 5. He said, okay, I have 1 month more. And then like, I said, well, he said like 6 months. And then like, yeah. And then after that, I start to, okay, I can do it. And then I start to train a lot. And then I have a lot of teammates who help me on the training. Master Rafael Cordeiro always like, hey, Leandro, do this. And then I still like a the fire, like, okay, I want to learn this every day, like watch videos, and I love boxing, Muay Thai, and then now it's like the people sometimes, you're grappling because it looks like striking. I say, no, I'm grappling, but I just work.
And it's a great problem to have now, because a lot of grapplers, they always go, you strike like a grappler. Good for you. You're really good on the ground,
Yeah, like I took the discipline where I have like in jiu-jitsu, like I train 6 hours a day drills, like a technique. Always my brother teach me something like I never forget, like the techniques come first. He said never put power speed first then technique. Some people like, I want to have a power, I want to be faster. But he said like the first thing you have to know is the technique, the good form you have to, and then the power speed we can add, and then I transferred that discipline that I know, like all my experience for grappling to striking, and then I know the way, like okay, we have to train hard, we have to start from the bottom and then do like step by step, little by little, and this is what I'm doing. Like I still like a very bottom, even like I do like sometimes advanced movement, but I still like okay, I have to use my footwork, my head movement and back. I train by myself a lot, Sunday to Sunday. I like to take the time for me, and then okay, do like a 1 hour, 2 hour shadow boxing movement. Yeah, and this is what I love to do.
Well, look at you. I mean, you've already put together what, 4 wins already, correct?
Yeah, 4 wins.
4 wins in MMA, and you're already fighting for LFA, which is a great organization. A lot of people know it as the kind of like feeder league to other places, which is always great, man. So that's a really good start. And the thing I can appreciate is, I always love it when I see guys translate into jiu-jitsu, from jiu-jitsu to MMA, who say like, hey, listen, I know this isn't going to be easy. I know I'm in for it, but I want it. Yeah. And that's a tough gig to do. I want to ask, because I know we ought to be respectful of your time, but I'm so curious to know this for sure for you. What has been the most satisfying moment so far in MMA for you?
I think the opportunity to bring my family, the MMA give me in this, but we think about fight is great, but before the fight have a lot of things, like the training is the hard part,
Sure.
And I think when the most,
I think we're gonna hold here for a second. Okay, somebody picked up the phone. I just want to make sure. You're about to give me a really good answer, and I was just like, I kept hearing the phone go off, and I was just like, oh God, he's gonna say something really good. The phone's gonna be the thing of truth. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please go on.
No, and to have good people around me and then the win, the victory is great. What I'm I can see the future, for me and my family, and I have my daughter, my little daughter she's about 2 months now, and she went to my last fight, but she's asleep. I say, hey, you lost? You she's like, I say, hey, oh, you see my fight? She's like, I'm like, what?
And her defense, she's also 2. Because here's the thing. If I'm following the family trajectory, it's not too far before she's like, Dad, that right hook could have been better. Just saying. Grandma has some words, and I've got some notes too. Sprawl was a little slow today, Dad.
Yeah, and then I think my one thing is in my head, my mom, she's she's everything for me. Every some love mom.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of my mom. Yeah. She's my my superhero. Like she's everything for me. And then I was right here. I cut weight with Coach Gima, and then I think this is gonna be with me like ever. And I was cutting my weight, and then like 1 kilo, like almost 3 pounds to go, and then I was like exhausted, like wow. And then I saw my mom with my daughter. Here my mom come and say, "Are you okay? Are you okay, son?" And I look to my mom, to my daughter, like say, "Come on, man, let's get up, and then let's go work." You know, like you tired, but look, this is like, you know, it's beautiful to see my mom with my daughter. I was like exhausted, but I say, "Okay, you can do it."
Yep.
And it give me like extra power and extra motivation, and that like the fight to cut the weight is so hard. And I have my mom and my daughter to help me for my last fight in that moment. And this is you know, just simple things. I don't think like the money, the people, oh no, have a money, have this, it's important. But if you do like your 100%, you're gonna receive the 100%.
Yep.
You know, like I think about to plant and then just little by little, and then I know the way to do this. I'm not kind of the guy like I have to disrespect my opponent to have some, you know, like some people
manufacture
like,
something to get people like, yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah, like I give like some interview before my fight, and the people talk about your opponent and say, oh, I don't know as much about him, but I know he's wrestling, he's good, he's working for, you know, no, but you know, like this, and you know, like, say, hey, I don't want to talk like.
What do you think about his nose? Could it be better, or does it need surgery? What do you think about his face? Could use a facelift, right? And you're like, because I know, like, what people don't understand about how they make these things is, what they do is they cut out the one thing you don't say that's nice about them. And it's literally like, hey, his family's great, he's got a great training regimen, and then like 45 minutes down the interview line, it's them being like, I mean, I guess I could say maybe the wrestling could be a little bit better. It's probably like a little overrated. That's the clip. And then all of a sudden you see like, you know, when they're like getting that fight hype, they're like, oh,
exactly.
You got Gomez over here saying his wrestling's been terrible. Then the internet just plays along. They're like, I always known Gomez has been like this, man. He's so full of himself. Like, that's how the whole process goes. And I always tell people this. I'm a marketing guy. I help people find their narratives. I'm good about that. I say, whatever your authentic self is, you have to lean in on that. Otherwise, it becomes inauthentic. And that's why when people ask, like, oh, what do you think? I'll be like, oh, amazing. Like, what do you think of him as a person? I go, well, the Twitter thing's a little much. Because it just seems fake to me. And the thing is, I'm like, I know why he's doing it. Because for years he was perceived as boring, which meant he wasn't of value to the UFC. So now that he's in there, and he's getting a lot more interest based off of it. But if you ask me, like, this guy who's trying to play both sides of like, I'm not going to do it. Boom, roasted. You know, it just seems like sad to me that I don't know that that's himself. It is, if it is, cool and good for him. But like, I always tell people, like, do the best that you can to just represent who you are. And if you are a shitbag, you know, lean into that. Some people are good at the trash talk, and that's who they are.
Exactly. Like the trash talk like is not my, you know, my game. But if I say this, the people like from Brazil, the people who knows like Leandro, it's like, but this is Leandro. This is not Leandro. This is fake. You know, it's like. And then I want to make my family proud of me, like, and then I grew up in martial arts, and then the one thing we learn, like a very beginning from martial arts, is respect and discipline. I'm kind of that guy, like, I prefer like, okay, let's say the media day and go like this, face. I prefer fight, like me and the guy right there, like, then like, you know, this is, I learned like, I think it's better like when you talk too much, it's better you go there inside the octagon on the mat and then show like, okay, this is what I do, and then you know, like You don't have to disrespect the family or disrespect the coach, teammate, or something like that. If he disrespect you, go there and crush him. Like
absolutely,
you
stand
know,
up
like
for yourself.
Go
obviously.
there, like inside the mat or whatever. If you have to protect yourself or your family, like if someone talks shit about you,
Absolutely.
go there and
take
just
care
say,
of it. You know,
yeah, that's it.
I feel though there is a difference, and I feel like I said, you know, as long as you're yourself, do that. I'm all talk, so I have no issue with that because I know what that is and I know what that world is, and I'm much better at that than I am at jiu-jitsu. But I've also got a history of never having a fight. Never had a fight as a kid.
Really?
No, because I was a smart ass. So what would happen is when bullies would come over to me, they would try to like do shit, and then I would just mess with them. I would literally make fun of them so bad the crowd would turn on them, and then I'd just be like, okay, cool. And I didn't care because one thing I did find when I would scrap with my friends, and I was playing sports at the time, so I'm sure they protected me, but when I was playing sports and we would wrestle or we'd like kind of grapple around, I realized I was hyper durable. And so when I started doing jiu-jitsu, people were like, you're hard to get. And I'm like, I just got years. This is it, you know? It's just kind of like, this isn't great. I'm not winning, but I'm not dead. So, you know, I've always told people, I was like, I don't know. I think that extra confidence of being like, oh, I'm pretty durable. And at that point I was athletic. So I'm going to make them look dumb because I never wanted to fight anybody. Like for me, I always knew like fighting is stupid in the sense that if you don't have to do it, don't do it. And a lot of these guys just want to be tough guys at it anyway. So it's like, yeah, whoa, tough.
Yeah.
And it's like, then you just find what their issue is and you just kind of do it. And I'll tell you this much, it's worked wonders for stuff like this because the fighters themselves, you know, I could do jokes about them, but they're never mean enough. They're never like, oh, I hate you, you know? And because I can do a joke that puts them in on it, they tend to like me a little bit more. So that's just my little thing, you know? But yeah, but believe me, if you've known some of the jokes I've said in the past, you'd probably be like, how did you not get into a fight?
Yeah.
So, but that's just my story. And again, it's not like we say like, hey kids, go out and get into fights. But it's like at a certain point, you do have to stand up for yourself. You do have to get in those situations. And if you're talking about a different country and different times and different regions,
like
you don't have a choice all the time.
Like in Brazil, like it's hard sometimes. Like you know, like I have a fight because I was kind of the guy. Like okay, like some people like bullying one guy there, and they say, okay, I go there, and then the big guy say, I don't care. No, he bullying the guy. I say, I don't care. I'll go there, and then I'm gonna take care about this. Bam, this is my fight. Like I never in my life like did this. Hey, you know, like to have a fight. I always like I'm here, and then people come like big guys, always like bigger than me. Like I say, okay, you want to fight? Okay, but you know, that was in Brazil, like some back in the days.
Yeah.
Today, if one guy like wow, I say, hey, hold on, please, you know.
I will point out, this is how much I know you're not that guy, because even doing the nice version is like, hey, like no one, even my friends, pushes me like, hey, like my best friends literally shove me. But I will say, when I was growing up too, is that I had a rule, which was if we were grappling or wrestling with my friends, I didn't pick on anybody smaller than me, because I just didn't think that was okay, you know? So inevitably, here I am. At the time, I was like $150, $130, couldn't gain weight to save my life. And then here I was being like, shut up, 210 guy, what up? And I'm like, what am I doing? This is stupid. This is a terrible thing. So that's why half the time whenever, like, you know, I'm training now, people are like, you want to roll with somebody that heavy? I'm like, I'm sure I'm dying on the inside somewhere, but it's fine. Leandro, I love getting to know more about you. Thank you so much for displaying the technique. Again, it's one of those things where we always root for the guys who are putting jiu-jitsu on the map and who are doing good things. And it seems like you got a good path that you're heading on here. Before we get you on out of here, can we take care of any sponsors that you want to shout out or individuals who've been helping you to get to here, sir?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for Kings MMA, Master Rafael Kuder, and everybody like from Kings MMA family. And then my sponsor, like West Curry and the Palace brothers, and that they helped me to get the LFA fight, and then we working for next fight. And I want to say thank you for you to give the opportunity, you know, like and then like say who I am today is because of I have a great family and great brothers and my mom, and I love you guys so much. And then thank you. In December I'm gonna kill you.
Oh god! You saved it all the way to the end. You literally pulled the greatest trick of being like, I love my family. I couldn't pick between my brothers because they're both so good, but I'm gonna murder you.
Like inside the mat, you know, black belts, brothers.
But you have to understand. There's a reason why it's so funny. Where I'm like, I watch your technique and I'm like, no, this feels good, a little too good. All right, obviously you're a black belt, but okay. I'm not, this pinch is a little good just for a demo. I'm not gonna lie. But then even double checking your references, and you're like, I love Adolfo and Jacare, and I'm like, those are two people I love, but whose games I could never emulate on my best day. But you know what they bring with Jacare? It's pressure and precision. With Adolfo, you're talking about the drilling, like, and then you add the speed. He's somebody who's drilled so much that now the speed is there. And like watching him pass, like when he said he was going to MMA, I was like, no, I'm not done watching you. Like, you need to stay in jiu-jitsu because I would love to just keep watching what you do.
To be honest, me too. Like, I'm like, no, don't go for MMA, Rodolfo. We need you in jiu-jitsu. I need to study like you in jiu-jitsu, you know?
But then you went to MMA.
But yeah. And I don't want to hear like, no, stay on jiu-jitsu.
I'll go for us.
Yeah, I go. Jiu-jitsu
but
guy.
You stay jiu-jitsu. So that way I can just keep watching you. Well, it's a testament to him, and obviously people come back and forth, and he is coming back to compete in the gi now. So that's pretty cool. I saw that he's signed up for a big competition.
Really?
I believe it is Spider that I saw him. He'll be back in the gi.
Great.
And then I know that Third Coast Grappling has a no-gi match with him and Gordon that they're trying to make happen.
It's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
it's gonna be
amazing.
great.
And you know what's great? Gordon talks a lot of trash about a lot of people. With Adolfo, it's like, you're. You know what? I respect you. I will go there. So we'll see as we get closer, but it started super nice. I'm being like, you know, Gordon's just like, I only take on the greatest challenges in the world, and he presents one of the greatest challenges that I could ever have in my life, so I definitely want to take him on, but I respect him in his game, even though I believe that I'm the true king and all that. You know what I mean? It's just like ad nauseum, same thing. Anyway, Leandro, thank you so much for your time, my man. I appreciate it. Keep it locked here. We'll be right back after these messages. This was good. I don't know if you guys saw this in particular in the match, but there was a moment where I thought that Tommy could finish this armbar. It looked like he was starting to make the adjustments, but he didn't quite do it in time. And then, of course, he ends up getting the decision win, rightfully so. Big respect to him. This kid, I mean, just look at it. Look at that face. The only time I've ever had that face in my life is when I beast food. After Thanksgiving this. Congratulations to him. All right, everybody. So here's some good news for you. My next guest, he is about to share this little stream over for us. I hope you guys like the interview that we did with Leandro Gomes. I realized something. I might have misspelled his name at one point. So Leandro, I know I might have put a Z on the little moniker there. I will fix that in post for any future use I use of that video. But I noticed when it had the little crawl underneath, I was like, it says Z. I think his last name was the S. Gomez with Z or S. It's very confusing, especially to brown people, so I'm very sorry. Leandro, you know you're great. I very much appreciate that. Okay, you might have seen that last commercial that we had over here. There's a gentleman who had very, very great reason to be excited and pose powerfully that they caught him after winning a very tense match with one Gilbert Gurns. And this gentleman and I, like, I've seen him compete a number of times. I've photographed him when he's competing, and I've watched him. He's a beast. It's very easy to say those words, but it's one of those things where I said, you know, it's about time our paths crossed. So I thought it's about time to bring on a gentleman who's quite good at jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to butcher his name, but we're going to see how I get through this one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tommy Langaker. Was that better? All right. Because what I did was I just cut off part of my tongue because I just said, you know what? If I act like I have no tongue toward the end, I get a little bit closer to what it's supposed to sound like. What is it? What is your name supposed to sound like, sir?
It's Tommy Langaker.
Okay.
It's the R's. That's we pronounce differently here.
It's fascinating because, like, I thought I had an okay, passable version, and then you told it to me off air, and I was like, nope, I know I'm not close to that. Well, Tommy, first of all, congratulations on your big win this weekend. What was the first thing that went through your head when you said, or they told you were going to have Gilbert Gurns as an opponent?
I thought, sweet. Like, finally, like, a guy that I know is going to, like, put it all to the test and just scramble, you know, like create good positioning. Don't want to just get stuck up. He wants to advance and create a good fight, you know. And that's what I really enjoy, you know. So yeah.
Did you know from the start it was going to be gi, and did you have a feeling it was going to be gi? Did you only say it was going to be gi? Because I honestly didn't know. I didn't know it was gi until I saw it was gi.
No, they just all of a sudden offered, because we were looking for a fight and who I was going to fight next, and like all of a sudden, like, hey man, you want to go do a gi fight against Gilbert Gurns? Because he wanted to fight. I said, yeah, sure. But I had to look twice when I saw like gi. Like I had many times like I took over. I said gi, right? Like I had to like during my fight preparations, but like yeah, it turns out it was gi, and it was fun to fight him like. When he did like a return in the gi.
Did you think it was going to be gi though? Because when I first heard him and you put up, even all the way to when I was doing a Let's Watch on Polaris on Saturday over here, I thought it was no gi just because of him, not because of you. I thought it was, it would make sense if he takes that match and he makes it no gi. And I said, oh, well, you know, it'll be a fun match to watch there.
Yeah, but yeah, I knew like it was gi all the time, and I think he just wanted to do like something different and like go back to his roots again, just to test himself, like because he left off like very good in the gi when he turned over to the gi to the no gi and MMA. So like he had like he was on the rise there, and so he wanted to come back and test himself against the level that's now, and it turns out like it was a good fight. And
well, talk to me a little bit about the match and how it went, because one of the things that I really had to give a huge compliment to you and how you were doing in this match was your control was so good. It was precise. It was really, really like you were putting him in danger for a lot of time. Like I remembered at about the 7-minute mark when you took his back, I was like, that's not a great place I'd want to be, honestly, with anybody, let alone with somebody with your technical proficiency.
When I went into the fight, like I know like he's gonna be very like he fights an explosive style and he rushes you, like he does like a blitz when he goes, and so I knew like I have to take him off guard, and like we have a joke going around here like I have the worst guard pose in jiu-jitsu history, like all. You can see all my world fights, all IBs. I always either get scored against or I do some like really stupid shit. So this time I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do something cool. So I thought like, okay, I'm gonna try to do like a flying triangle, and like turns out I didn't jump far enough. So it just looks like he did a foot sweep on me, and like when I did it, I would boom, just hit down on the floor. So like it was kind of good because it like now it's on, you know, because you got that little hit in you.
Yep.
But yeah, it was good. And in the terms of fighting him, like I knew like I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to be like steps ahead of him because I don't want wanted him to establish grip. So like when you notice every time he's making a grip, I'm trying to control his sleeve. So like because I know he relies a lot. If he passes from a distance, he does the Toriando pretty well with the leg drag, and then he goes into the over/under passing. Like so he mixes a lot from this. And like I knew like in the beginning he wanted to do like go fast, and then like slow that down. And then when it goes in, like I know I can start working more of my collar and sleeve and key master guard and starting going from there. And yeah, like when I got his back, I don't know what happened. He was there. I was controlling his hand, and his head was low. I just put my knee over his head, and then all of a sudden I teleported back to. I was standing like this on the floor, like, oh, what the fuck? I'm here now. And then, I jump and I fall down, and I start doing the crab ride, and I do the twist work and take it back. And then, I was surprised about his defense. Like, he has such good defense, and like
really
he has no neck, like absolutely no neck. So when you see when I had his choke, my hand was like up here and not down here, because like he's so short into like staying close into my arm. Like I couldn't start pulling, and like he was always laying on my bottom leg, so I couldn't regain my leg and start going back and get it tightening the choke. And he was constantly working his hands, and so like I was just trying so hard to get the finish, but like there was nothing to choke. And
we could give you a lot of appreciation for. I don't think anybody would ever mistake what you were doing as just being like, I got these hooks. Decision? Am I good? Like, we saw you really going to work and really trying to give us a finish. And, again, I even thought at certain points, I was like, dude, I think it's looking pretty dim for Gilbert, but he stuck in there, dude, and he proved to be a game competitor in there. I will say, man, on air, I was 100% talking up your ability to keep that sleeve guard consistently. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something that even as I was watching it live, I was just like, dude, it's so consistent. And you kept almost getting this like sleeve and elbow guard even when he would try to pull away, and I was just like, the amount of times that you were able to get that position back consistently throughout, it was like, no, that's a huge credit to you in your game. Did it go kind of how you felt it was going to go in terms of how you were game planning for him?
Yeah, like I've been practicing a lot that the elbow grip and going to the Del X and starting sweeping him. But like he surprised me, like every time I did it, he long step, and he fell through, and like he started getting a pass. So I started like getting very cautious with it. Like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I have to be able to get my feet in fast, and like I had to be able to. I couldn't like fully commit to it because I knew it was always the danger of him doing that like long step all the time. And but yeah, the fight went pretty well according to what I planned. Like I wanted to, of course, get the submission, but he's tough. He's tough, and I shot a lot of attacks, and too bad I didn't get them. But
next time.
Yeah, next time.
Let's just say this though: do you feel, or did you feel, any kind of pressure being the only gi match on the Polaris card? Because, as you notice, the opportunities for gi matches aren't as much as we see for gi. And you were holding it down for the gi.
Yeah, me, luckily, Espen was the fight before me, so he turned up the crowd a little bit with a good finish,
Yeah.
The gi on the mat, helping. And so it made me psyched. And yeah, the pressure on having it being the only gi fight, I've had it since I started doing the Polaris fights. And there's something with I don't know what it is, but I create good fights in the gi, and I just fight as I fight, and I train this way, and that's why apparently people like the style I do in the shows, and so hopefully one day I'm gonna be the main attraction to the card, and it's gonna be good.
Hey man, I mean, you're putting out a pretty good resume there. I mean, you've definitely made a good use of your opportunities at Polaris, so nobody would ever mistake that. It's just, what's great is Ash Williams came on our show, and Ash was like, dude, my match was, okay, whatever, but let's talk about Tommy. And I was like, Ash, I brought you to talk about your crazy match, and he's just like, nah, dude, he stole the show. And I was like, I thought you stole the show. He had the best match.
Didn't Ash break the guy's arm?
Yeah, and I'm like, Ash, you had a highlight reel. And he was like, nah, dude, I want to talk about Tommy. And I thought that was such a great moment. We just had Ryan McGuire from Third Coast Grappling, and he comes on. He's like, "How about that Tommy? He's coming on later on the show, yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, you can't stick around for him though, dude. But, you know, this is just him. It's his time to shine." He's like, "No, just tell him I was a fan." So it's nice that all these people who aren't necessarily always going to be there for Guy, they get a match that I feel was worth their money. So it's credit to Polaris, credit to both you and Gilbert. And it just makes me happy as somebody who does compete in, or not compete in the gi, but like trains in the gi, that like, you know, we always get shat on of not having exciting matches. But I want to be like, yo, you guys were kind of the most exciting match of the thing, you know?
Yeah. I think it's like the whole aspect of like what's best gi and the no gi for super fight. I think both is equal. It's just about what the matchup is. Like, you just have to find the good matchups, and from there, like, you just have to mix and match, like go from there. And of course, like, it's a higher risk in the gi that it might be a little bit more stuck. It's because of you got to hold people, you know, and the gi you can't hold that much, so it's going to be more movement. But still, like, you can get these crazy sequences and beautiful techniques in the gi, and you get the man, I hope we see a lot more gi shows more, you know, like the spider ones. I love that ones, and that was cool.
Absolutely. And I mean, Spider puts together a great event. I think they're still working out their kinks, but I think their production value and the way they treat their athletes that appear on that show is unmatched right now. I don't know that anybody is putting on as spectacular as a production as they are, honestly, because when I look at their shows, and as somebody who works in entertainment, I see them and I see production. I see the rest of our shows and I go, you know, they're nice. You know, like, they look okay, you know, but you can see just a difference in quality. So I think that they're still trying to figure out, like, okay, now we got to figure out how do we get those guys who are in the gi to understand winning's great, but that production value needs that spectacularity, you know? But I don't know, man. For me, I couldn't imagine, you know, I just, as a guy with optimism for the gi, just think like, man, don't go hard on these guys. They do that. But for you as a competitor, when they're like, gi's not exciting, do you just sit there and go, motherfuckers, are you watching me? You know, I wonder if that's ever like an insult to guys who really go out there and put on shows in the game.
Yeah, of course, you always get a little bit triggered when people say it, because like it's what we do. Like, but like I said, it goes back. It's only as simple as getting the good matchups, and that's what creates the fights, bro. And then anything can be exciting, you know. Just but don't say no gi is better than gi.
Okay, well, hey, listen, I'm not going to make that mistake here, dude. I'm familiar with your work. I just love the fact that, you know, I think there's a time for both of them to shine, and obviously there's a lot of momentum with no gi, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, I just always wonder with somebody like you who has a resume. I mean, dude, let's look at this real quick. I would plug this in normally so that my audience can see it, but I just want you to see it. This is your BJJ Heroes profile. I want you to just look at how many times I have to scroll down. That's just from 2017, though. So how many matches have you had in the past 2 years?
I don't know, man.
Because if I'm doing some short math here, it's doing something on your grappling record of about 80 some odd matches within that 2 years' time that they've tracked. And it makes me wonder, you know, like, I want to go into your backstory. I'd love to hear more about how grappling and jiu-jitsu started for you. So obviously it started at a young age for you. Tell us where grappling started for you, sir.
It started like any other jiu-jitsu story, basically, like having your brother showing you UFC, and like you started doing some moves on the floor. We did like I remember we saw like my older brother came, showed me the UFC one, and just do the arm bar from there. And then all of a sudden there was the jiu-jitsu, like traditional Brazilian, just traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I just started training there, and I started doing that for a while. And I didn't like the traditional stuff, like the self-defense and all that. I just wanted to do the fighting. Like I liked MMA, and luckily from there, like traditional jiu-jitsu is like, okay, you start standing with punching, and then you punch, and then you grab, and you do judo, and then you go to the ground, and then you do grappling. And like I always I was always not always I wasn't so good in the punching and the throwing, but I was always good on the ground. So I just kept stuck with doing traditional jiu-jitsu for a long time, competing there, and like going on the national team there, and started competing. And when I was 17, I got became like a Peruvian here that wanted to that had like classes in the kickboxing academy where I was training, and then like I was like, oh, okay, I didn't have any I only heard like stuff about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I thought like Japanese jiu-jitsu is the only jiu-jitsu there is, you know. So, naive, you know. And from there, like I just tried it out, and like I said, I was competing in Japanese jiu-jitsu, and I was always doing good on the ground.
Well, can we stop here for a second? Because I want to ask a clarifying question on this. So you were competing on the national, for the national team in traditional jiu-jitsu, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Were you at that time imagining that was what was going to be your path at the time?
Yes, like I'm always like here in Norway, like you always hear these stories about Vikings and like you know, like the national pride, you know, and like I always I loved war, and I loved like playing war, like battles, you know, with sticks and such shit. So like I always liked that part, and then like okay, and then I knew like I wanted to fight something, but like I didn't want to go to actual war and shoot or anything. But, so like I found Bruce Lee videos with my brother had, and like I kept watching that, and like, oh shit, that's cool, like learning how to fight, and I started doing that, and just like I knew from the point I started Japanese jiu-jitsu, like immediately when I started doing that, like okay, I want to fight for the rest of my life. This is what I want to do. Like I don't know how or what or when, but like I'm gonna do it. I don't care. Like education, fuck it. I'm gonna like everything's yeah. I just knew like I wanted to do it. You know.
Did your parents at any time like? When they saw you and your brother kind of doing it, did they think it was like a fad, or like, oh, they're just being kids, like whatever, they'll grow out of it? And were they encouraging? What was their perspective on this?
I don't know, man. Like it's they've always been like very, very supportive of my fighting, and like they would always support me a lot when I did it. And like so when I started doing these fighting competitions when I was 9. And like they would always show up, and like they would support, like yeah, like they just kept. It was just like a constant flow, like because I was always doing it. It was just like so natural for me and my family. Like there was no like Tommy just does jiu-jitsu. He just trains, you know. It was the habit. And then like I think it just escalated from when I found Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's when it like really escalated in my terms of like, okay, now I know what I want to do, you know. Because I did sports jiu-jitsu, but like when I found Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's what I got. Okay, this is something else. This is different. This is where we get to apply some real shit, you know. And that's when that's from there I just knew like it was clear I was going to do jiu-jitsu for the rest of my life. And now like and there like my coach was very supportive. The guy that came from Peru, and he had connections to. He had connections to Brazil, and like so during my education as a carpenter, I got like approved time off to go to Brazil for 5 weeks and do just training, just hang out with the guys and train and just traveling, you know.
Now so you know it's all coming together now. Yeah. I didn't know about your carpentry, but that would explain your grips, because I've heard rumor about the intensity and strength of your grips, and I've always just chalked that up to your nationality. But now I know it also has to do with your actual carpentry, because I have some homies that I train with, and these are, you know, they're not people who compete. You never know their names. But when I roll with them, you know, they feel like their grips are unbreakable, and I'm always like, how the fuck do I get them off of me? And, you know, they're just the unsung heroes of the people who have that carpentry grip. How long did you do carpentry for?
I did a 4 years education, so 2 years in school and 2 years of work. So, but I've always been like like finding physical work when I was young.
Hmm.
So, like, we had like all this physical work, and I would help my dad and stuff with going out, and that was good. So, of course, it was good for my grips. And I remember when I did the carpentry training. Did this carpentry job, and like you're lifting all these dry walls, and you have to carrying up like 4 floors, and then you do that for 8 hours, and then you just have to go to do strength training, and then you do jiu-jitsu, and then you go home and you do what a kid you play video games a little bit too late, and then you go sleep, and and like with 6 hours sleep is with the same routine every day. And like I remember my hands were just like shaking in pain, just like, but I was still obsessed with it. So, and I just so when I quit jiu-jitsu, when I quit my job, like when me and Espen just decided, okay, we're just gonna focus on this, and I never had like the same. That was good for my hands, basically.
What a upgrade! Most people are like, jiu-jitsu ruined my hands, and you're like, nah, it saved them. What are you talking about? You guys haven't lifted a goddamn thing. You don't know how easy it is. Because, it's funny. Like, I'll do every once in a while, like, friends will ask me to do stuff, and I'm telling them, I'm like, I'm the least handy person, guys. And they're like, what about all your jiu-jitsu? And I was like, no, it's very different. My skill set is very not this. So, that's pretty dope. Do you remember your first class? Do you have vivid memories of it? Because the interesting thing is, most people who I ask this question to, they have a moment where they say like, oh, is their introduction into our world of grappling. But for you were around a different form of jiu-jitsu, and you knew that that's something you loved, and up until then, that was the path. So do you remember your first class by any chance?
No, I don't. Like, I just remember the start, but I don't remember my first class. Like, because it was such a natural, like, the transition. I already had the gi on, like the gi was nothing new to me. Like, the throws were nothing new to me. The ground was nothing new to me. So like, it was nothing. The only thing that took me off guard was like getting my ass kicked. That was basically the only thing, like, from the coach. But since everybody else was new, where we started, like, nobody else knew anything from the ground. So I was able to, like, being young but still be managing with adults, like, so I still like push the pace, and so I had like a really good start, but like in that way, so I had like the advantage of like knowing what the guard was, knowing how to do like an arm bar, and knowing the base, like very, very, very little basic, because it's not a focus field on sports jiu-jitsu, so like it's no like super techniques. You just like you're on the ground and you just try to hold the person down, and like so, but you can toss a submission, so like you practice a little bit, but it transitioned well for me, luckily.
Can I ask this, because I'm genuinely curious for people who come and cross over from different areas, especially like judo people, when you saw the art of pulling guard, were you just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
That was perfect. I got to stop doing throws then. Because I fucking sucked at doing throws.
Really?
Yeah. I was in the beginning. I was doing all the takedowns because of from the sports jiu-jitsu, because you're not allowed to sit down. You can do safety tosses, which is like basically you fake a toss and like you can get to work on the ground. I would do that a lot, but like I had basic tosses. So in my first few tournaments, I would start to do like judo, but then like I got to fight Espen a lot, because Espen was my rival for a long time, and he just pulled guard. He just sat on his ass, and I was like, what the fuck? Then all this work for nothing, These people are just gonna sit down. And then like it's like, okay, I either play the ball or I don't play at all, And so okay, people are doing this, and I have to learn, because I believe like if you want to break something down, you need to learn how it works. And that's what I figured out with Espen being my rival along. And like he was doing all this berimbolo and like all this fancy stuff. I was just training. I was just trying to kill people basically. And then I just had to like, man, I'm keep losing to this kid, and I just had to basically find out what he was doing. And from there, I just formed all of a sudden it just did a spark, and it just formed my game to pulling guard, and now doing the most retarded guard pulls in history. And
honestly, I could probably name worse people, so I think you're okay. Maybe it's just because you're a professional athlete and you're probably like, oh, you watch the footage back and you go,
so it's actually pretty bad, I think.
you know what? I'll let you say what you want to say about yourself. I could send you videos of other people that I would never put on public display. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things to do with people, especially when they come from different disciplines or if they're new to grappling, especially if I know they're kind of wrestlers, is when I kind of like bring them out for the first time to roll, is usually being like, okay, let's go, and they'll start standing up, and I'll just literally,
yeah,
and they're always like, what the fuck did you just do, man? And I go, hey man, no, this is all legit. This is all legal, Like, I just want to see what you're gonna do and how long. I was like, don't get me wrong, I could stand up with you and do nonsense for a while, but I want to see what you do from here, because it throws people at the very beginning. The question I always love to ask, and I'm going to extend this your way as well, is do you have a moment, because you make the transition into doing this as a pure love, do you have a distinct moment when you realized that you were in love with the sport of jiu-jitsu? Because to make that leap of faith of, being a carpenter can be a good career. Being, somebody who's going to do traditional jiu-jitsu could be a good career, but to do grappling is not necessarily a promised future. Like, there's not exactly a path that shows you how to make a living doing this. So I always ask people, when did you fall in love to the point where you knew this was what you wanted to do?
So like, it was for sure like scary doing, like when I had my job, and like I was always like every day, like I kept telling myself like, man, I'm gonna quit this one day and I'm just gonna do jiu-jitsu. I don't care like how like I said, like how and when or what, I just have to do it, and I'll just manage from there. And it's, how can I say, it was like doing carpentry was fun, but it like was always like either do that or do jiu-jitsu, and like my love for jiu-jitsu was like more, and I wanted to do it, and like I said, and I think that's
understandable. So let me ask this, because it's funny to me now getting to talk to you when you were in California for a long period of time, which is my neck of the woods. So this is my home, and I would see you, but I didn't know you, and I knew people who knew of you, and they would obviously say very nice things about you. So we never officially got the chance to talk while you were out here. How long were you in California?
I came, me and Espen, we used to train, like, we were rivals, and we used to train together because, like, back home where I'm from here in Haugesund, it's, the level is not high here. Like, there was nobody to, like, set the bar, like, for jiu-jitsu. There was nothing, like, nobody could, like, nobody could lead by example, So, like, we were here just training, and he trains in Egersund, and I would go down to him, like, just to train. And one day, like, me and him, we just sat down, like, man, we need to do something else. Like, now it's just me and you, and we need to do something. Okay, Espen tells me, like, okay, want to go to the States? I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. Like, he knew a place where he wanted to train. I had no clue, because I never followed jiu-jitsu. I just did jiu-jitsu. And me and him, we just ordered the tickets, flew out to California in 2014 after I quit my job, and we stayed there for 3 months at AOJ. I remember that was a good time doing. Like, I had no clue where we was going. Like, like he just told me, like, AOJ is where the Mendes bros are training, and like, yeah, sure, let's go.
Let me see if I get this straight real quick. You have no idea what's gonna happen. Hey, I want to actually take a quick break. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Just hold on for 1 second. See you in a second, guys. This entertains me. I don't know how much it's going to entertain you guys. But when you look at it, look at the possibilities. So it's Luke Rockhold and then Luke Rockhold with 3 hearts, which begs the question, Was 2 hearts too little? Is 3 hearts way more important? Luke Rockhold Feet also has fewer than 100 posts, by the way. Luke Rockhold Invitational. Where do these come from? Like, what the fuck are half of these? Luke Rockhold Day also has fewer than 100 posts. Luke Rockhold Me? It sounds like a bad 80s Whitesnake song. This was good. I don't know if you guys saw this in particular in the match, but there was a moment where I thought that Tommy could finish this armbar. It looked like he was starting to make the adjustments, but he didn't quite do it in time. And then, of course, he ends up getting the decision win, rightfully so. Big respect to him. This kid, I mean, just look at it. Look at that face. The only time I've ever had that face in my life is when I beast food. It was me after Thanksgiving this year. Congratulations to him. However, Ash gets a Kimura grip over on. It is not looking good. He might have an armbar here over on. Oh, Red is in danger. That arm is in severe danger. I don't know that Red is okay. I think his arm might have gone on that in transition. Ash Williams is a beast. Wow. They're now replaying the footage where it already looked like a really conventional armbar. As Ash was trying to finish here, Red was doing his best to go and circle on out of it. The angle that then happens on it is gruesome. It's up there with Pearl's break, and they're showing the other angle, and I'm just not going to watch. Nah, I'm good. Look at this. This is one that I want to make sure we're on right now. Yo, respect to Michelle Nicolini. Look at this toe hold. It's a decent angle here of how much torque is on this, but I really want you guys to understand this is somebody who we don't get to see all the time grappling. And I think people sometimes sleep on how good she is. I have immense respect for Michelle Nicolini and could not be happier to see her come back into the winner's circle. So big respect to you, Michelle. You did not see yesterday's quintet. Y'all missed out. I know it's on super late, but man, it was good. It was a lot of fun. And major props to our good friend Gio Martinez. Gio Martinez was doing the commentary for that one, and I thought he actually did a fantastic job. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. But I can maybe show you one of these clips. This was one of the more crazy submissions that they had on Polaris yesterday. And check out this right here. So this is not only a rear naked choke, but it's still a calf crusher. Like, just the absurdity of being like, what am I even tapping to? And the rest of the team reaction, I didn't see that. That was great. The rest of the team's reaction, like, huh? What? Oh. All right, you guys, so sorry for that small interruption. I had to take an important call. I can't tell you what show I am working on, but apparently I just got a new gig. And, I'll tell him off air when we're done here. But it's a good one. I'll just leave it at that. So I had to unfortunately escape for just a minute. So we were talking about your time in California. And you were out here. You said it was a great time. What did you learn the most when you were out here during your time in California? Like, what do you feel like was the most beneficial aspect and moment to your game that you were picking up from out here?
How to train, like how to know myself and push the limit. It was like me and Espen, we came out to California at AOJ, and the first thing that we met when we came in the door was just Rick Slomba. He just won the world championship. Danny Stolfi, Evan Isaki, Ian Delisio, all top guys at AOJ, really hard roads. And it was from the first second we came, everybody just looked at us and we just have to test them. And everybody just wanted to roll with us. So we just started rolling. And when we rolled, we just had to defend, okay, we from Norway, we stand our ground, we just had every roll was a fight for our pride, it was no, from the first second I remember they put me with Rick Slomba, and they just wanted to beat me up, me and Espen, And then from there on, then like it was just on like hard rolls day in and day out, and it just managed to test me how mentally I was gonna like how focused like really wanted to do this, because I was like pushing myself so hard, like breaking my body down. And like when we traveled, we didn't have a lot of money. Like everything was everything basically just went into like either paying the fee for the gym, paying the rent, and then we had like a little bit money to like spend for food. And like so we lived like on a tight budget there, and like it was just like day in and day out war, and like it just helped form the aspect like how you viewed training, you know, how to be a competitor. Like because I didn't know back home, because like I had my people, I knew like I did good, and I thought like, oh shit, I'm on top of the world, like nobody can beat me because I was doing so good back home. And when I came out into the big world and like testing the level there, like I realized, okay, there's so much here to know, like how much, like there's so much I need to learn. Like I needed to learn how to pass, I needed to learn how to do like counting points, I needed to learn how to like how to push myself in and control the fight, you know? There were so many aspects like you had to figure out, and like my time there was just like a constant like absorbing everything and just like trying to beat up everybody as much as you could and being like the top dog, you know.
Did you feel, I mean, is this kind of a fulfillment of the aspect of you wanting to go to war? Like, is that not the best case scenario of when you get pushed against the wall, you were kind of like, this is everything I wanted. I'm going to war every day. And like most people would shy away from that sort of a thing.
Yeah, like the term, like, I just love like the I don't know what it is. Like it's just when you get to push yourself to like you test yourself, you know, it's so much. I don't know. I never actually had to explain. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like just going into war, like the rush it gives you from like there's no set outcome. There's nothing. It's just you now. Now you have to fight this. Like this guy's either you're gonna beat him or he's gonna beat you. And like there, I feel like I thrive on it. You know, it's like it gives. It's a good energy when you go to go on the mat, and like it's nice because you get to show all the techniques and all the work you put into it, you know, and that's gonna show on the fight.
Is there anything that you miss about California, because it's a transfixing place to a lot of people?
The weather, for sure. The weather. That's what I miss the most about like. If I could change anything, like, because here it's like we train with hoodies and wool socks in the beginning to like because it's too hot, it's too cold, then you have to slowly warm up, you know. But there you can just go like you're always limber in your body. The heat is always good, and you get to you can just go and roll. You don't have to focus so much on warm ups. So that's basically what I kind of like the most about it.
I mean, I was joking about this with somebody at my own gym yesterday, because somebody in California was like, ooh, it's cold here. And I was like, bro.
No.
And I told him, I was like, dude, I think the real people who have cold, like, I was out towards Philly, and it was starting to get chilly. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a little chilly, but like, I look at people who put on hoodies underneath their gis, and I think, like, none of us can complain. And then I start thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know, dude. If I had to put on a hoodie and wear a gi over it, I don't know that I would be doing jiu-jitsu. I honestly don't know that as a for sure thing.
Yeah, every morning it's the same struggle. We go and drink some coffee to get some peace in the body. You know, sit there for an hour just like, fuck, we have to train, you know. And then slowly one guy migrates and starts taking off his clothes, taking on the hoodie again, and then like, okay, start jogging a little bit, you know, freezing.
You got the guys, I'm sure at some point you're like, somebody suggesting, why don't we wear 2 rash guards?
Yeah.
Might help a little bit better there. So then after your experience in California, what prompted the return home?
The unification of the West Coast, basically. You know, we my friend Yakova, he's an MMA fighter, and he wanted to like create, because here in Haugesund there was no training facilities. We trained in the bunker inside a mountain, and like there was just like these mats, and it was like this. It was in the air inside the mountain. It was like polluted. I think it's the word. Like it's not. It's like it's moldy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of mold in there, so the air is not good. So like you're breathing all this shit when you're training there, and like so he wanted to create something big, and he created the gym we're training at now, Harjo, and he created that, and then Vega came down, Vega Randabag, our training partner, and then when he came down, I came home, and like I didn't know they were gonna build it. I just heard talks about it. And then I came home and after a trip to America, and like I saw like, oh shit, they're making a gym, and then we told like Espen, I sent a message to Espen like, hey Espen, Vega just moved down here as well. You should move down to Haugesund, and so he came. He just drove up, and moved here, and just started training together, and like that's from there. Like I knew like, okay, now I don't have to travel that much anymore, because it was expensive doing all these travels. You know, like I had to do carpentry work on the side just to get like the money to fix to be able to travel, and so it was much like it just made sense coming down, just training together with these guys, and like we had our old crew from Haugesund, so we were already a solid group of guys. We just migrated to this new place. We got Espen and Vega. They came there, and like then we just lived. We moved all together and like had a good time. And from there, it just has been going on since.
I'm curious because you've mentioned Espen a number of times. Yeah. Is there like, because you're kind of rivals? Does that ever still permeate? Do you ever just have a moment where you look over and you're like, God, I don't hate you, but I hate you right now. Like,
I want to beat him in training every day. That's why every time I go, if I roll with him, like I roll to beat him. Like we don't play around. Like we try to fight each other when we fight, and after we're friends. But like, of course, like you want to be, it's not a hate. It's just like the right, like the will to like beating him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We all have those rivals. I mean, I have a podcast.
Everybody has that guy in the gym, like you have to beat, you have to try to beat him.
Absolutely.
It sucks getting beaten up as well, you never want to lose. So.
Well, like for Verbal Tap, my co-host and I, we're very similarly talented at certain things and very not similarly talented at a number of other things. Yeah. So people always say, they're like, hey, Raph, you're always nice. You don't mind when people roll with you if they go hard or you go hard. And I was like, I don't really care. I usually match the speed, and if they get me, they get me. I was like, but Kevin can never get me. I will never allow him to do that. I will murder him. And people were like, really? I was like, it's just the way it is. He's one of my best friends, but I want to murder him here. And then we can drink about it later, and that's fine. But like there were a day, I think we did like a gamut of training. So it was like gi, no gi, you name it. Like we were doing who could do a better wrestling, who had better takedowns, whatever. And I remembered there was once where he got a good takedown on me, and I was so angry about it. I was like, God, I'm so mad he got a takedown. Yeah. Like it ruined my day. And like the worst part is we had just gone from gi to no gi, and he had still grabbed my pants in no gi. And so he's like, I can't even count it because I cheated on it. And I was like, yeah, you kind of did, dude. I was like, it was good technique, and if you hadn't cheated, it would really count. But like, I'm still pissed that it happened. So neither of us are walking away happy on this one. I'm so curious about this because I know I want to be respectful of your time. I know it's super late over where you are right now. So I do want to kind of wind down and ask a couple little questions here. I want to ask, what has been the most fulfilling thing to you since moving back, though? Because now that you get to come back, with this knowledge of, you know, training out here, seeing how it's done on a major level, competing at the highest of levels, getting the kind of abilities to compete on these big shows, and again, with a resume that reads this long on BJJ Heroes, you know, what has been the most fulfilling thing about coming home and maybe even now providing that resource to an area that you said it didn't really exist at the beginning?
Like, for sure, like the what makes it better, like not traveling, is we have a good community here. Like it's my guys here. Like we have a great time every training. It's just a joy, you know. Then just the hassle of always traveling, and like then you just like you go on and you go off. But now here you can just chill and you can be yourself all the time and just do jiu-jitsu with your best buds, you know, have a great time. And like now I'm a teacher as well, so I got teach classes for the academy, and like it's nice. Like I have all this knowledge. I did all this traveling to all these different places, Brazil and all that, and I've gathered all the information. I've seen all how the best guys train and what they do and all that stuff. And so I know. So it's nice to like be able to share that with my students and share it, like, because I want to create like a good community here in jiu-jitsu. I want to make jiu-jitsu big here in Haugesund, because I know it's a lot of potential. We see already, like with our students, how well they're doing in the competitions, and we're getting and ourselves, like we see, like we lead by example, you know. Like it's nice to show everybody like it's possible here, even here in Norway, to compete with the best guys in the world, because Scandinavia and Europe has like the level is so big. It's so big. We have so many big guys that are coming up, and it's nice to be able to lead, like to be like try to be like an inspiration to the other people, and showing like, man, just if you just fight for it, you know, anything is possible. We here in the north, we can do whatever we want, you know. And then yeah.
Well, it's pretty dope that a man who was doing carpentry and kind of had that dream of going out there and doing it up big can have those moments like they do at Polaris this weekend, that I think are just one little small portion of the great resume that you've been putting out there. And one of the things that's really nice is, man, I mean, I've watched your game. I've been a big appreciator of it for a long time, and I always try to find the right time organically to bring on people to talk to them. You know, I may be watching it, so it's not one of those things where I'm just like, oh, this weekend, oh, this Tommy guy seems good. Yeah. It's like, no, I've seen you, I've photographed you, I've seen you in big matches, I've seen you in finals, I've seen you do your thing, and it's just, you know, your resume speaks for itself, and I always try to pick that right time that I feel is like, you know, it's about time we get to talk. And for me, I was like, I just saw you doing your thing, and I said, I'd love to hear more about your story and to get to know you, because I hope that you know that people are watching you and they have a high amount of respect for what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like when I saw you sent the message, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do a podcast.
And the nice part about it is like, obviously you get to talk to Josh Palmer, but whatever. Screw that guy. Everybody talks to Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer's out here stealing all of our American jobs, so he can go somewhere else. But I love the fact that you guys work hard in this sport, and we always try to give you a platform to get people to know you a little bit better, hopefully, than they did before. And one thing that I want people to know is that Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, you guys are releasing technique videos on your website. Where can people find that website?
You can find it at the Wolfing House, wolfinghouse.com. It's where we share like all our new techniques we're working on, because we're constantly working on something new. So like we're trying to like always like new ways of doing the techniques and all that stuff. So we do that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We put out new techniques with some details on it, and yeah.
Well, that's good stuff, sir. And what do we have anything on the table? Do we have a super fight for you ready to go in the near future?
No, not now. There's no super fights for me. Now I'm just gonna enjoy Christmas, just train, eat a lot of food, and I do have the Abu Dhabi Grand Slam and the Europeans coming up in January, and from there is some talk of a super fight coming up, but like it's not set in stone yet. So I'll just leave you guys hanging there, and I'll announce it when I know more. You know.
Well, rude, but okay. The one thing I hate about every interview is when they're like, I have a super fight. I'm like, motherfucker, tell it on my show. Don't go do it. No, I'm just kidding. I look forward to hearing what it is, but I think my big thing that I'd like people to know is we'd like to see you on more cards. So if you're a promoter watching this, let's get this man on some more cards. I mean, obviously he's turning it up on Polaris, but I'd love to see you do your thing on a number of other shows. So hopefully we can keep that momentum going so that you can continue beasting it, sir. And I just want to give you an opportunity to say thank you to any of your teammates or your sponsors, shout out, kind of whatever you want to do. All the people that helped you get to a great performance over on this weekend at Polaris and beyond.
Yeah, like I want to thank everybody here back home helping me push myself every day, and like the guys in the Wolfing creating our website, the whole team, you know, and yeah, everybody watching and supporting me. It's so many people to mention. It's like I love everybody, every single one of them. So.
What's good stuff. I'm gonna say this to you guys. It's been a blast being able to talk with Tommy over here. Like I said, just so much fun watching you do your thing, dude. It was really great to turn on Polaris, have a whirlwind of a gi match, and you know, for people to get some good shine on your name. Because the nice part about it is a lot of people came, I know, to see Nick Rodriguez push around Luke Rockhold on a mat for about a good 15 minutes.
Fuck that.
But it's nice to know that, you know, guys like you, guys like Ash Williams gave us a very worthy main card as well. So I appreciate that. Man.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Well, good.
It's nice. Yeah.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to you guys. I want to say thank you so much to Tommy over here for coming on this show. I want to thank all of our guests. I want to thank Ryan. I want to thank Leandro for coming on a couple weeks ago. His Kneebar setup is super dope. And, of course, I want to thank Dan Martinez, who, by the way, was also like, yo, that Tommy, dude, he's looking pretty good, too. And I was like, yo, y'all are trying to hit on him, and it's getting weird now. But he's got a lot of fans all over the place. But all of these gentlemen are putting on great things in the sport of grappling and jiu-jitsu and even MMA. So before we let you go, I want to make sure that you guys know if you haven't subscribed to us right now, do it. Go find us at Grappling Hour on all the major platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe on there. You'll even hear us on our iTunes and iPodcasts, wherever you get your major podcasts. So we've got more episodes coming there. Again, my thanks over to Tommy. We appreciate your time, sir. And it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you guys on the mats.